just sound like wow.
With what I know now, it's no wonder why these haters try to profile.
Sound like wow. It just sound like wow.
Wisdom with the womb in your ear right now. It just sound like wow.
Uncle my chest, a symbol of my success. I travel.
I just finished Caveat Emptor. I'm going to do this one. Islam. I'm glad to know I have a few faithful Moors among you all. I desire for them to know the truth and the divine truth. There's a host of jealousy about we and the movement now. The same people on our side of the nation that think that I was only joking on Britain. But now since they have found out from the government officials and nations of the earth that this is the only sole foundation that all Asiatics must depend upon for their earthly salvation as American citizens. They are working every scheme that they can to disqualify me so that they may take charge of the situation. I notified all these things to you long ago in the past. It is through the faithful Moors that attribute to the movement uplifting funds. The ones that paid their divine respect to me and the movement will be remembered. That is why I'm calling upon all faithful Moors to increase their faithfulness to me, your prophet, your divine Moorish movement. I need finance and I need it badly. Never before have I needed finance so badly as I do at present, so I can shove aside the discord that is facing the nation. It all comes through jealousy because of my fame and nobility. The nations of the world will not recognize the movement without I, the prophet, being head. It has been proven by my works, which I have performed in the past few years. Prophet Ali. To the members of the Moorish Science Temple of America, Islam, this is the instructions from your prophet, Noble Ali. Be faithful unto your forefathers' divine and national creed, that you will be blessed for your good deeds that you saw in the flesh. Allah is the one that judges the world. He is judging now, but the weak can comprehend it not. The end of time is drawing near, so says Allah to his divine prophet, I know Ali. That is why many hearts have been turned to stone. Many have eyes to see but cannot see, ears to hear but cannot hear. Each they will be confounded of their sins. These are trying hours now, dear Moors, and every spirit is moving. They are trying every weak mind to overthrow and drag out the true foundation that has been laid and to cause confusion in the minds of the ones that do believe. But if you have the true love of Allah and the spirit of your forefathers, you fear not what you hear or see, but will sacrifice the utmost of your very life to protect your movement and your prophet. Watch your enemies, dear Moors. Your enemies are the ones that speak against your prophet and ridicule him to the very lowest, and the ones that speak against your divine national principles of your temples. Act accordingly, and Allah will bless you for your good work. Peace. The divine prophet, Noble Ali. Prophet warns all Muslims to be read in every meeting. I hereby inform all members that they must end all radical speeches while at work, in their homes, or on the streets. We are for peace and not destruction. Stop flashing your cards at Europeans, it causes confusion. Remember, your card is for your salvation. Failure to obey these orders will be a severe consequence. We are for love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. And when these principles are violated, justice must then take its course. Any member or group of members who hold malicious feelings towards the temple or the prophet, or violate the divine covenant of the Moorish movement, will receive their reward from Allah for their unjust deeds. All true Moors will and must obey the law as laid down to them by their prophet. If they lose confidence in their prophet, they should turn in their card and button, cease wearing their turban and fez, and return to the state where I, the prophet, found you. This is the holy and divine movement founded by the prophet, Noble Ali. If the prophet is not right, the temple is not right. The prophet is therefore sending out a divine plea to all Moorish Americans that they do their part in protecting the prophet and the temple. This is an everlasting movement founded by the prophet through the will of Allah to redeem his people from their simple ways. Peace. Noble Ali. Look at the screen here. You see that this is the prophet, Noble Ali. He said, "Come, all ye Asiatics of North America, and hear the truth about your nationality and birthright. You are not Negroes, black, colored," because these are names given to slaves by slaveholders. And then, of course, when you look up etymology, you look up the definition of black, it means pale. Colored means something fake. Negro is black in Spanish, right? This ain't Indians, so we ain't Indians. African America is not a country, not even a continent, it's two continents. You just have to figure out that your nationality is what determines your political status. And the reason why blacks been complaining for so long is because they don't have nationality, etc., etc., etc. So again, that's the prophet. If you don't know, now you know. Prophet Noble Ali. Real sauced up.
Islam.
Alright. Do you want to... First of all, I'm excited.
First of all, apologies to all the Moors worldwide for not being in the presence, right now. When I initially got the, actually let me just go on this thing. When I initially got the email, there was a lot of misinformation. And when something like this comes across my desk, table, email address, or whatever, and I get the heebie-jeebies, I take it serious. We know that there's a lot of activity with regard to trying to halt or stop or pause, pacify the Moorish movement, especially the individuals who are doing particular work that is helping to liberate our people. Forget the idea of, selling some papers or getting out of some ticket or getting out of some mortgage or whatever. The whole purpose is getting the information to the people so that they can have some reference points, do some studying on their own, and uplift themselves. It would be a challenge to do that if you're not in the presence. When I got the email, I had responded to the individual because certain things that was in here were very suspect. RV Bay trying to remove somebody from the movement. Taj's chosen one. One of my students going against me and all this type of stuff. With this individual, whoever they are, having the balls to make certain claims, put me back because they're doing the exact same thing that when you look at the Panthers, how they fell, somebody writing fake letters or whatever to people. Martin, fake letters from somebody. Specifically, or more so, with the whole COINTELPRO with the Panthers, because those fake letters actually got Fred Hampton killed. Right? Those fake letters actually got certain people in the beast that, they're Panthers and they've been in jail for past 30 years. They didn't even do anything. So when I sent it out to a few Moors, Moors who are new to the info and Moors who I've been dealing with, and three of them said, you know what, I don't know about that. That seems a little suspect. There's an appreciation that sincere people have for the GS, but then there's some real hatred out there that some people have for the GS. And this is a known fact. Like, I've had people on the street run up on me, you know, trying to cause harm. So
Yeah, and it was like, nah.
yeah. So once I heard from those individuals that, you know what, it's probably better to, you know, maybe not go, because from here to there we have to use their commercial airline.
Yeah.
Right? And they already know what's up, because every time I go through the thing, I already get the pulled in the back, check the bags, see the books and all that type of stuff. That's regular. But with the heebie-jeebies, that definitely had me in that place of listening to these Moors who made the suggestion that, you know, if it's really about man is spirit, not the flesh, then being there in person isn't really going to be, you know, an issue or a non-issue, because we're dealing with people who have a certain mindset with regard to this. But what I will say is, make sure you keep your ear to the street, because it's not going to be any more over the airwaves. There's lectures going on. You know what I mean? You're gonna get the direct link that it's going on, and you can, you know, be at them and that, but it's not gonna be a thing everybody's knowing what's going on or whatever, because we realize that people are taking positions of, you know, really trying to destabilize this in some sense. So once again, we just want to send the apologies out to the Moors who traveled and all that type of stuff. Make sure that you, everybody who's in attendance, Brother Jamal, just get their email addresses. Just get all those email addresses. So as a courtesy, I could send you the Iron Cheek 7 album before it's out.
Dope.
Right? So just so you're getting something that nobody else got, just get those email addresses to me, and I'll make sure the Moors there get something for their listening pleasure. All right?
Will do. So make sure y'all, if y'all didn't sign in, sign in. Yeah.
So I had a little PowerPoint set up that will go through some of that, but I also wanted to open up the floor if anybody has any questions or anything, or we can get that out the way too as a courtesy. Deal with the questions first and deal with the PowerPoint and whatever after. So if anybody got anything, let's do that. And if possible, whoever has the question, just have them come up and,
Yeah.
you know.
You're in the hot seat.
Yeah, take that hot seat.
Islam, brother.
Yo, peace, Noble. How you doing?
All right. My name is Mikhail.
Islam.
One of the first questions I wanted to ask to you was, how has nationality worked in your favor? How has it made your life better since you started practicing or studying?
Well, the main thing really was tying myself back to the forefathers and foremothers for real. Prior to this, we were in all the different schools of thought, you know, studying from all the different schools of thought, but none of them taught this perspective of, you know, actually going and doing the correcting of your name, correcting of your status, correcting of your mindset, etc. Majority of them have you adopt a name, but it just stops there. There's no actual, like Brother Abdullah always talks about, there's no political activity with them being this new individual, right? Or reclaimed individual. So one of the things I noticed that made it benefit. One thing for sure was taxes. Not paying no taxes to these foreigners. That was one thing. Because as with the mindset of Negro, black, colored, a lot of things get bypassed. You know, you don't look at it as Inquisition activities. You know, so when we start getting into this information and start studying, you start applying certain things, it's like new worlds open up to you. You know, one of the other things that Nationality has done was made me eliminate the racist mindset, because in the, you know, African black, you know, conscious whatever mindset, you always have this chip on your shoulder. Somebody owes us something for something they did to us. But then when you get into wearing your fez, wearing your turban, going out into the world, and people are actually giving you honors, and you look the same. All you have is a fez or a turban on, but you look the same. You're the same individual. You know, Moors even have this story of, you know, they might go into a store one day without their fez, then the other day with a fez, and they get treated totally different. And they're the same individual. You know what I mean? So I've always looked at the benefit from the spiritual aspect first. You know, because I've always felt that the spiritual lessons are really what make us through life, even when we were in the Negro, black, colored. You know what I mean? Like, you know, we had like when we were in the black mindset, we had a ritual that we would do called Purple Flame, where, you know, before we get behind the wheel, you know, because everybody was driving without licenses and all that type of stuff, before you get behind the wheel, you do your little outside of the car ritual, and then you get in the car, and then you visualize the car being inflamed with purple fire. And then from the studying, purple is a protection color. So it was really just so that, you know, when we go out there, you know, we don't get stopped. And guaranteed, whenever we didn't do the ritual, we got stopped. You know what I mean? Another aspect was the Europeans. How we look at Europeans. There's a brother by the name of KTS. He's actually the brother in the More Lives Matter song. The second artist in the More Lives Matter song. He's Greek, right? Back in the day, he was that one European that was always with the brothers. But he was never looked at like a European, because he was just different. He used to DJ, break dance, do all the stuff that the brothers did or whatever. So when we got into the info, he was one of the first people that was like, yo, you know what, man, that stuff is real, and telling us about Greek history and Etruscans, and, you know, the first people in Greece were dark-skinned people and whatever. So we had a trip where we went to, we were going to Ottawa or Montreal or something. And we were late, so we were flying on the highway, and then we get pulled over. And the highwayman that pulled us over was a European or whatever, you know, so we're just there. A brother was driving, and brother KTS was in the passenger seat. So we already know from back in the day that that's the European. Anytime there's a European whatever, don't worry. Everybody just let him deal with it, because it's probably going to go in our favor if he deals with it, just because, right? So, dude's like there, you know, he's giving us his, you know, his attitude or whatever. You guys are speeding or whatever like that. I'm going to give you guys tickets or whatever. Dude gives us the tickets. But before he gave us the tickets, he was telling us, you know, the directions. Well, why are you guys going this way and whatever like that. Then brother KTS stepped in, and he was telling them, you know, it's not our fault, and, you know, he was giving them the little European to European conversation. right? Like, it was literally the European to European conversation. We're just sitting there watching this thing go down. And dude said, you know what? It was like a $300 ticket or something. He's like, you know what? I'll just give you guys a $25 ticket. Be careful or whatever like that. Go about your way. You know what I mean? Now, you know, again, with the Moorish mindset, you know, the $25 ticket, you know, 7, and you know, we're in the conveyance. We got fezzes up and all that type of stuff. So we're already looking at it on a level of, okay, these Europeans know what the hell's up. Ain't no way you're dropping a 300 ticket to 25. It could have been 30. It could have been, you know, 10, 18. Could have been any type of numbers. The fact that you give 25, you're letting us know something, you know. And that wouldn't, like, he wouldn't even been on the trip if we were of the Negro mindset or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Like, we specifically brought him because we wanted him to be the one to tell the Negroes out there how real it is. You know what I mean? So it's always looked at from the spiritual perspective. When we, let me see, I had if we go into the earth plane stuff, this was my first case exercising right to travel. So we put this out there before, but
And that was for you?
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So you see up here it says Her Majesty the Queen,
Yep.
right? Versus Kevin S. McCletchy. That's the name that I was born with.
Yep.
Right? Now this is their transcript. And then these were all the charges, because when I was exercising right to travel and they pulled me over, their whole thing was, you know, you can't do this, and they were mad because, you know, I was saying Canada's part of North America. They were trying to tell me Canada's its own country and all this crazy stuff. Right? They were trying to say the continental flag is the flag of Lebanon, and this isn't Lebanon. Why are you flying that flag, and all this craziness. So these are all the charges right here that they gave me tickets for. Right? But then it was interesting that when they talked about the appearances at the bottom, they were talking about ex-relation. If you see that right there. Right? Kudradwa L, ex-relation, the straw name, but not written as a straw. Right? Again, if we're looking at, we're saying that we're Moors in order to get out of something, then you're not going to really get what is going on. Right? I already had, prior to this, I had an incident where I, again, not listening to the higher forces talking. So I had no license, plates expired, and I think there was insurance on it. I think there was no license, plates expired, but I had insurance or whatever. So it was during rush hour. I was going to work, and I got pulled over by the department out here is called OPP, Ontario Provincial Police. So that's the police that you would say state troopers. They only deal with the highway. You never see them on the road or whatever like that. They're only on the highway. So pulled me over, you know, and this was the first time me getting pulled over with actually saying that, well, you know, if they pull me over right now because of the place expired and the license, guaranteed they're gonna tow the car. All right. So I was like, you know what? Forget that. I'm gonna give them the nationality paperwork and the right to travel paperwork or whatever. I had always carried it in the glove, but I never used it. You know, if I got stopped, I give the license or whatever. It wasn't even no big deal or whatever. So I'm like, you know what, forget this. I'm going to give these guys the freaking paperwork. So I gave him the paperwork or whatever. You know, he's looking at it. You know, what's this? I don't know what this is or whatever like that. Goes back to his ride. Comes back and says, okay, well, I'm going to basically, we're going to have to deal with this off the highway. Because this is, you know, public roadway or whatever. And you're telling me private information. So we need to go somewhere private. Right? So he shut the highway down. Made me merge off the highway or whatever like that, escorted me to some parking lot. Go to the parking lot, comes out the car, it was a Hindustani. And, you know, he was saying, well, you know what, I talked to the supervisor, and basically nobody knows what to do because nobody's seen this before. So let us know what's going on, right? Like, let us know what this is or whatever. So I break down everything to them. All these highwaymen start showing up or whatever. Crowd is starting to build around. Everybody's, you know, looking at the black guy situation and something's about to happen or whatever like that. These guys come, they get the paperwork, read the paperwork, they realize what it is, and the rest of the highwaymen leave. The guy that pulled me over, after everybody's gone, he came back and he gave me a pink paper, and he said, tell the driver that his license is expired. Right, and they went about their business. Now these are the guys up from the municipal police. So we're taking what they're saying as, well, they gotta obviously know or whatever. You know what I mean? So that is what made me see how real the nationality aspect is. Because again, if I would have given the license, they would have played the, oh, well, it's expired, and then the plates, oh, the plates are, we got to take your plates because those are expired, and then your license and whatever. So in the different realms, this would affect people differently. You know what I mean? Everybody's not gonna have my situation happen. Everybody's not gonna have your situation happen. You know, majority of people, when they come into this, they come into it from the aspect of get something. I'm gonna be a more so I can whatever, opposed to I'm a more. And whatever happens after that is happening based on you being a more, not because of some situation that you got and now you're saying that you're a more. You know, but majority of the appreciation that I have for knowing Moorish nationality and proclaiming my nationality is really spirit first. So that eliminates, you know, 60% of the people, you know, who are looking for the answer that, oh, well, you know, it's because I get to do right to travel now, or I get to not pay taxes, or I get to whatever. That's not what I looked at nationality as from the jump, because we were metaphysicians, occultists, and all of that before we got on Moorish science. So we already knew that it was all about spirit world, and that spirit world opened up way more being on nationality and birthrights than opposed to being African and black or whatever, you know. Yeah.
And earlier when you started speaking, you spoke up about political activity and not paying taxes. I was just wondering if you can elaborate more on those two subjects real quick.
So brother Abdullah always makes uses the example of the other conscious people who would say that they are whatever it is that they are, but then they don't have anything to prove that that's who they are. You know what I mean? So, you know, the political activity and that aspect is, you know, going through the nationality process, putting these people on notice, having some type of situation with these foreigners, with these inquisitionists, that you can stand on your square and get a response, whether positive, negative, what doesn't matter, right? The point that you're standing on your square against these people is really what the threat is for them, because they're usually it's some docile position or some angry black man position, right? It's never, you know, intelligence and competence from people like us. So when they engage that, it definitely throws them off. And with regard to the taxes, We're just talking about regular purchases, go to a store or whatever like that. You know what I mean? Oh, sorry, we're exempt from taxes. You know, sometimes you might get a battle. Sometimes the thing runs so smooth that you're standing there like, oh, that's it. They didn't even ask for the card or whatever. You know what I mean? Because of, you know, again, the individual who has the right energy, they're gonna interact with these colonists or other nationals, and their experience is not gonna be the headache experience. You know what I mean? They're definitely gonna either learn something from the situation, or it's gonna blow off so easy that should inspire them to take this thing a lot more serious than they have been taking it, even though they've been taking it serious.
And yet the tax exempt status you enforce by a word of mouth, or do you have something that you present to them when you proclaim your tax exempt in like stores or something?
It depends. It's either gonna be nationality card, or it's gonna be, you know, I'm not taxable. Like, you know, whatever. You might not have the card on you, but you know, we got the number off the top or whatever. So you just let them know the number. You know, there, whatever. You just turn their screen. Oh yeah, you just push that button right there, put the number in, and you'll see the stuff come off. You know what I mean? You know. Well, I can't do it. Okay, don't worry. Get the manager. They'll be glad to do it. You know what I mean? And then the other thing with the taxes thing is not getting too caught up in trying to teach them something or whatever. Remember, they're at work. So, you know, especially if there's a line and all that type of stuff. Get your stuff, bam, bam, leave them a card, flyer or something like that. They can call you later if they really want to know what's up. You know what I mean?
All right.
But yeah, I don't know if I answered all your questions.
Yeah.
All right. And any more? Or that's peace?
Peace. I appreciate you.
All right, more peace.
Yeah.
Well, I know they got questions.
I'll ask one. I have one. Yeah, I asked, how has more science brought your family together, or did it?
Let me see. Well, from the immediate family perspective, actually, we could go into some of this. Let's see if I find this thing here. Y'all can see that?
Yep.
All right, so this right here, this is this top picture right here, saying Canaan. This is in Alubera and Caribe, Trinidad and Tobago. So this is our ancestry. When I was there last June, when I was there, I found out some more things relative to our people, as far as our family. The McCletchy name is on a few street signs out there. Now everybody has this thing about, you know, the European name is a slave name and all that stuff, but then when you use your common sense, you have to ask yourself, why would a slave have a street? And not just one street, but multiple streets with their name on it, right? So come to find out that great-great-granddad was a big landowner on the island. So anytime he got land, he portioned it off for the family. So like my uncle out there, he has his acres. My dad has his acres. The Moore McCletchy Trail, this one on the bottom, this is my youngest uncle's plot. His plot is like on the right of these poles right here. There's a plot of land right there that's just his. And then this street sign is on that intersection, right? So when we started talking about being Moors and all that stuff, the first thing was everybody thinking that I'm a Mason because of fezzes and all that. So some of those people came out the woodworks in the family who were Masons. You know, and I didn't know you were a Mason and all that stuff. Like, well, I'm not a Mason. And then they realized they just gave up the secret. So those people stopped, you know, really dealing with having conversations and stuff like that, because now I know where they're at, right? For my father's side, he just built his house and all that. He said, you know, forget this. When I retire, I'm going back home building my house, because I have my plot of land that I got from great granddad. So
there's a lot more. Just wanted to show y'all the 6 acres of my dad's part of the land. So this is mansion that he built. Right? And then from here, 600 feet that way, 300 feet that way, and then 600 feet back up, and then 300 feet on the back. So you already know ain't no slave gonna be having all this. No way a slave, no way a master's gonna give a slave all this. No way. Alright, Moors, just wanted to give y'all a little update so y'all know that it's real out here. Islam.
he built his house and all that, and where he lives, there was no streets. So he had to put up his own street signs so people can find out where it is that he lives or whatever, because the land wasn't being used. It was just his plot of land. So he put up his own street signs and all that. Now, we know as Moors, that's really Aboriginal and Indigenous culture. Like, if you're going to put up your own sign and then the so-called government is going to recognize that the sign that you put up is legit because you put it there, then you know that it's real, right? Jan de Moor, there's a place out there near Canaan called Buku Reef, and this is a street. Jan de Moor is a street in Buku Reef. So it's obvious that there's a connection to Moors. It's obvious that it's divine intervention that I'm saying that I'm Moor, but then when we used to live on the island, we used to go to Canaan and all that, and it didn't even register. You know what I mean? You know, Moore McCletchy Trail, been there since we were children. Nothing registered. Street signs and all that stuff with our name on it. It wasn't even anything that we really paid attention to. But as soon as more signs kicked in, all this stuff starts making sense. You know? It allowed me and my mom to get closer, because being that she loves Jesus and Quran is the Jesus book, you know, when I presented that to her, that kind of made her realize that, that I love Jesus too or whatever. You know what I mean? It's not about go to church and whatever like that. It's about the lessons or whatever. So she has her Quran and all that. You know, she reads it whenever she reads it. She doesn't say that she's a Moor or anything like that. But I know that, you know, when she's ready to make those big purchases, she's going to call me to get her taxes off. Right? When the phone rings, you know, she answers Cujo, because that's what shows up on the phone. Which again, you know, because of more science, went to the phone company, got the stuff changed over and all that stuff. Was no big issue. It used to say the straw name before. And I'm telling her I'm a Moor, and then she's looking at the phone and she's like, but this never used to come up on the phone before. What do you mean Moorish Science Temple and Kudro L and all that stuff? Like how did you, like, what do you mean they changed it? How did they just change it? Because they're a corporation. All they want to do is make sure they get their finance. They don't care what name you got on the thing. But the fact that they changed it, you know, to the layman mind, you know, it was a big deal to see that it was changed. You know, when I showed you the transcript for the tickets, one of the things that happened with that was after they pulled me over, they gave me the tickets and all that stuff. They said that they're impounding. They said, we're gonna take your car and all that type of stuff. Called the tow truck people or whatever, unscrewed the plates, took the plates off, put the stuff on the tow truck, and they took off. I got a call from my mom. Hey, I thought you left. Where are you? Well, I'm just out or whatever. I got pulled over or whatever like that. Blah blah. Telling her the story, and she's telling me that the car's in the driveway. You know what I mean? Well, she's like, well, you know, so this is after I told her. This is after she told me that the car's in the driveway. So I was telling her the story about the tickets and, you know this, know that, you know what I mean? I think they're attacking me because I'm a Moor or whatever like that. She's like, yeah, maybe, you know, because the car's in the driveway. Like, the car's in the driveway? What do you mean the car's in the driveway? You know? Right? So that was another thing that let her sort of know that, okay, something's interestingly wrong here. Because, you know, everybody knows some black people who got pulled over and their stuff is probably still in the impound right now. You know? So it hasn't been a negative. I'll say that, as far as my family's concerned. You know, like me and my dad could have more conversations now because there's more stuff to talk about. You know? Especially, you know, with you know, him being of the position of, you know, being self-sufficient, you know, build his own house, like build his house from scratch. Like he used to live in a tent before he built his house. And then he built the house around the tent. And he has like a two-level house.
There's a lot more. Just wanted to show y'all the 6 acres of my dad's part of the land. So this is mansion that he built. Right? And then from here, 600 feet that way, 300 feet that way, and then 600 feet back up, and then 300 feet on the back. So you already know ain't no slave gonna be having all this. No way a slave. No way a master's gonna give a slave all this. No way. Alright, Moors. Just wanted to give y'all a little update so y'all know that it's real out here. Islam.
With everything, water running, electrical running, and all that. You know what I mean? He used his connections, people who he knew come do the electrical, somebody who he knew come do the whatever. He has this little boy that comes and does the landscaping and all that type of stuff. You know, he got fruit trees in the land, he got, you know, garden, you know. So it allowed for a little bit more discussion, but there was no negative as far as you know, my family's concerned with regard to that.
That's great.
Right.
Anyone else got a question? You're on the hot seat.
Good morning, Brother RJ, Bay.
Islam, more peace.
I'm fairly new, you know what I mean? I done did all of my paperwork and everything, and beforehand, like I knew about the Moors this year, but I didn't just jump into it. I did my own due diligence, read, research, history,
Right.
and then I understand. But beforehand, you know, like I was in situations to where so that I was studying common law, commercial law, and the 10 Maximus law, and it got me out of situations, and I didn't know until like this year that the situations, you know, about the statutes, about the law and everything, I didn't know, like I didn't understand, but I knew what I was reading because I was reading a Black's Law Dictionary or whatever the case may be. But my question is, how do I go about, because there's a lot of other brothers that's in my area because I'm in the territory of New Jersey.
Yeah.
And they was curious on how I did it, but I don't know how to go about explaining, you know, because people is stuck, they not deprogrammed,
Right.
or whatever. So I want to know how about to where so that I can educate other brothers and let them know about their history and let them know how about the Moors and everything. Like I tell them, but they not, you know, they still programmed.
Right. Right.
The European statutes and their policies and everything.
Yeah. I think one of the biggest misconceptions about coming into this is that it's something, you know, deep and so far off or whatever, when it's real point blank simple, right? When we go to just go back to this PowerPoint. When we use the lessons that were given to us, where did the thing go? When we use the lessons that were given to us by Noble Drew Ali, it definitely makes it easier to relay the message, because once we're talking about Noble Drew Ali, we're talking about 100 years ago, where a majority of these people weren't even around. But one of the things that stands out is that everybody is on this info. So for example, you could bring up Nas' new album to them if they think this is not real, right? They're gonna say he's the best and all that stuff, and they're gonna put out there that, you know, he's who he is, right? But when you go to, how come this thing is not sharing? Y'all seeing the thing right now? Or are you seeing me still?
The street signs.
Right, so this is the merchandise for Nas's new album, right? The Nasir album. If they think this is not real, then how come he has this stuff on his merchandise? And he has everything. He has pyramid, crescent star, circle 7, handshake, eye of Allah, and all of that. Right? Some of these things are directly from the nationality card. If they can't see this, and then keep in mind right now how much airplay this album's getting. How many people are talking about it? Are they even talking about it? And if they're not, why not? Because that's Nas. Like, how come they're not talking about this? Why is this quiet? If the people aren't receptive, just like you said, realize that these people are in the sauce, and you probably don't want to be taking a bowl of that sauce these people are in. And sometimes they just have to learn on their own. Because if I'm a Nas fan, I don't need any more than this to know that I better get on my nationality and birthrights. right? Like there's nothing that anybody can tell me about the Moors are this and that and enslaving people and whatever. I'm not going for none of that. If Nas is repping that as hard as he's repping it. That the merchandise for the album, he went on the album saying that he's a Moor and all of that. You know? So, again, it's very simple. We're not Negro black colored people. We're not Africans. We're not whatever. We're Moors. That alone should have them say, oh, Moors, what's that? That should be the next, you know what I mean? And then once they go there, then they go into their own study. And if they're serious, they're going to take this thing and run with it. If they're not really that serious, you know that, you know, many are called, chosen are few. And you're probably dealing with you know, the many called. So don't even, you know, lose yourself in, you know, they're not listening and I've been telling them and I've been giving them stuff and I've been showing them videos and I've been whatever. This is probably not for them, you know. But being that you are in Jersey, make sure you check out moorishguidepost.org and try to connect with Grand Chic Nature, who's in Asbury Park.
Okay.
Right? And they've been doing their activity out there. I think 2001 or something like that. They've been out there, you know. But again, just get the email address, and then I could send you his information and all that stuff, so you can connect with him.
Okay.
And then that would also get you out of having to be the one to save people. You know what I mean? There's already Moors out there that's been doing that. So you can put your focus on, you know, your family getting this information, you know what I mean? If you got children, your children learn this information, them getting with other children that's in the temple, a temple that's running properly, a temple that deals with civics and constitution and law and all that stuff. It's not just praying and sing hymns to Noble Drew Ali and all that. You know what I mean? And then you could invite those people there. And then you really see how real they are with it. Because dealing with you, they know you or whatever like that, it's a little bit, you know, the rapport is different, you know?
Yeah.
But when you're telling them, yeah, come to the temple, and then they pull up, it's like, we always use the example of when we first came into the movement, and when we went to Chicago or Mecca to visit the Moors there, and these Moors had, you know, fleets of cars with their own tags on it. These Moors had a temple with shower in there, bed in there, you know. These Moors had muftis that's carrying your bag, open the door for you. No matter where you go, muftis are opening the door for you. You know what I mean? When the temple's done, muftis making sure everybody gets home safe. Every mufti is assigned to a car. Right? This is Moors. Every mufti assigned to a car to make sure that individual or those individuals get to their destination or as close to their destination as possible before they part ways.
Okay.
You know what I mean? So, you know, you know, not saying all that to say stop talking to people or whatever, you know what I mean? But don't involve yourself so much in trying to convince them of whatever. You know what I mean? We already got all the websites and all that. We got all the YouTube pages. You got all the classes. You know what I mean? Like with our channel, we got 1,800 videos out there. Pick something, send that to them. You know what I mean? Go watch that. You know what I mean? Don't let them have you on the phone 2 hours, 3 hours, and they're not really interested in the information. You know what I'm saying? You know, because remember too that when we look at this metaphysical, you always have to remember that there's also vampires out there who all they want to do is suck people. You know, they don't care about learning. All they want to do is be able to say that, oh yeah, you know, this Moor had me on the phone for 2 hours and then you ain't hear from them ever again. They got their 2-hour lunch, so they're good. You know what I mean? Any other questions?
You can go next.
Islam.
Peace, Mar.
So my question is, let me give you a little background. So 6 months ago, I came into this information, and when I came into this information, I was in community college with plans to go to a 4-year university. What would you say about Moors who are young and are in these types of institutions? Should they continue to stay in these institutions? Should they expatriate from them? What is your opinion?
Well, if we go to Noble Drew Ali's oral statements, he's told the Moors that get a good European education and he could use you. So when we look at when they say quote unquote off the grid, get into this information and then cut everything off because we're sovereign and we're whatever. Well, when we cut everything off, we ain't got nobody to deal with our sanitation and all that type of stuff. We don't got anybody to deal with the things that need to get dealt with. So, the younger generation has to be the ones to have the foresight to see, like, especially with the Moorish mindset. Like, if we look at every other prosperous nation, they don't only go to their school, they also go to the European school.
Okay.
You know what I mean? And them going to the European school is really to extract whatever information that they can get to bring it back to their nation. That's how they do. Right? So, like for example, out here, when you go out here and you check the who's on the honor roll and all that stuff, you're seeing Hindu names on there, Chinese names on there, Korean names on there, Japanese names on there. When it's lunchtime, you're seeing them sitting there, and they're on lunch, they're doing their homework. Whereas, the Asiatics, or the quote-unquote blacks, Negroes, coloreds, or whatever like that, they're going to do some BS on lunch. Right? When midterm hits, all these so-called other nationals, they got 80%, 90%. They're mad because they only got 90. They're upset with themselves because they have to take a 90% home to their parents who said they should have got 95. Right? So, look at it as it's learning. Look at it as we're the founders of schools. So we should be in those institutions. We should be doing the best in those institutions since we're the ones that inspired them.
So my next question would be, should I go into the next institution with my free national name, or should I use my straw name that I've been using unconsciously?
If the status quo is that if you're proclaiming that you're a national, then in order for those people to really deal with you like that, you're gonna have the documentation that they expect with your free national name on it.
Okay.
Right? For example, Sister Khalifa is an example of that. Right? That when she came into the information, that process was available. That you can actually get your free national name on these corporate documents. Right? In this time, we do put them on notice because of the amount of activity they're trying to stop, because they realize that if more start getting their free national name on all these documents, then these people are done for. So they can't have that happen. right?
That's true. Yeah.
You know, because with having individuals that have this constitutional civic mindset with these documentation that these people give them, right? The colonists and the inquisitionists, if they're giving them documentation and they're letting them to put their free national name on it and stuff like that, these people know that they're going to be over. It's like with, again, using Sister Khalifa, like the influence that she has on her students being that she's Bay. And they recognize that, hold on a second, like you're black, but you don't have a name like the other black people. You know what I mean? And them questioning things and them being inspired, you know what I mean, to do more, to find out more, to study or whatever like that. I mean, it's a given that change is gonna happen in favor of the Moors. You know, another example is Brother Abdullah, you know, who again used to do the same thing, worked in the school. But eventually they were like, nah, we can't even deal with you like that. You know, we can't even deal with you like that because the influence that you're having is causing people to pass. And that's not, failure is what makes finance to those institutions. You know what I mean? Having people continually going through those doors. Not having people be masters and leave. So you can look at it, like we always look at it from the perspective of pick your battles. So if you are really interested in going and you don't want the heartache and the headache of, you know, them maybe denying you or whatever like that, then use that straw name, right? Never admit that it's yours. You're always using it under threat, duress, and coercion. You're always using it because you're forced to use it, and reserve your rights on whatever contract it is that they present to you. If it's admission contract, all rights reserved, and then you sign over all rights reserved. If they got problems with that, you always bring up, well, the movies reserve their rights, you don't have a problem with them. And, you know, you guys have a logo right there. If I was to take your logo and go put it on a shirt or whatever like that, you guys will sue me because you have rights reserved. You know what I mean? To protect their property. You know what I mean? And as far as the free national aspect of it, you get your paperwork done, you put these people on notice, and then you start exercising as that. And when you fill out your form, you're putting your free national name on it. They're asking you for SIN number, NA, not applicable. They're asking you for anything that has to do with them pulling you into the jurisdiction through certain instruments that they demand. It's just not applicable because I'm not part of you guys' corpse, you know. And then again, you're going back to the idea of, because I am Aboriginal and Indigenous, you state, you have an obligation to let me get an education. You can't deny me that because I'm saying I'm a Moor all of a sudden. You can't deny me health care because I'm saying I'm a Moor. Or because I'm a Moor, you don't want to pick me up in the ambulance. You know, like it's not supposed to work like that. But again, it goes back to that thing of the people's passivity is what makes the Inquisitionist policies continue. You know what I mean? And also look at it from the perspective of there's a lot of Moors who we know that they taught themselves. They didn't go to these people's school. You know what the curriculum is or whatever like that. You know all the books that you need to get. You know, it's not like they don't give up the goods. Like they give it up. The issue is that people think that, you know, quote unquote, the diploma is what makes them. But then if you look up diploma, a diploma is a rolled up piece of paper. Like that's it. You know what I mean? Like the origin of a diploma is a rolled up piece of paper. It doesn't have anything. That's why they always give you the rolled up piece of paper when you go across the stage. That's the diploma, not the thing that you have on the wall saying that you're qualified to whatever. That's not the diploma. Right? So, you know, again, with the thing of pick your battles, that if you're new into this information, then you want to tread lightly, because these people don't play around, you know, with test driving stuff to see how things work. You know what I mean?
Could you say that again? I didn't hear you.
They don't deal with test driving. So this isn't trial and error. This is either you're doing what you know or don't do it. You know what I mean? If you once you know, then you can apply. If you don't know, don't try to apply what you don't know, because you're really not applying really. You know what I'm saying? So if you're in the institution right now and you already put some time in, being that you're in there, all you're doing is changing your mindset. Everything else stays the same. You know what I mean? Because you're not gonna. It's not gonna be successful you rocking their boat. Because all they're gonna do is just make you walk the plank. Because that's what, you know, that's basically mutiny. You know what I mean? Because you're on their ship, you know, quote unquote school. You know, it's like the more that there was a more that was in he was in university. You know, taking classes or whatever like that. Subject came up about the Moors. You know, he put his hand up like, well, yo, hey, professor, like, how come the stuff is so short on the Moors? Like, what do you mean, you know, there's Moorish history and you're talking about, you know, 3 pages and that's it? You know what I mean? Teacher left the podium, came up to him personally like, you can't interrupt my class right now. Right? I have a curriculum and I have to go by the curriculum or whatever. But, you know, after class, you know, come talk to me or whatever like that. So, class was done, and they're about to leave. They got the next class. Teacher's like, nah, don't worry about that other class or whatever like that. Come on to my office. I'll give you a letter and all that stuff. You don't worry about that. You know what I mean? I'll call your teacher, let him know you're with me or whatever. And he's breaking down the whole Moorish history and all that stuff to them, and told them that, you know, in these institutions, the most neglected history is Moorish history, because people can't know that information. If people start knowing that information, then these institutions would no longer exist. This is what the professor is telling the student, but in closed doors, not on the floor of the classroom. Right? So trust that they know. You know what I mean? Ivan van Sertima. Right? If you heard of Ivan van Sertima, he's an individual that when he started writing about the Moors or whatever, they threatened that they're going to deport him and all that stuff. They threatened that he's going to lose his tenure because he's talking about Moors. He's writing books about Moors. You can't do that. You know what I mean? You can't talk that type of truth and all that type of stuff. One of his books was They Came Before Columbus. You know, which shattered the whole paradigm of these people's doctrine of discovery, Inquisition, conquistador policies. You know, because it comes back down to the same thing that, you know, if we are Moors and we're the Aboriginal indigenous people here, then we should have our own school. Shouldn't be going to these people's school. But then again, you know, that's what Moor Science Temple was. Right? The whole point of that was to teach our people the truth about their nationality and birthrights. And then that was supposed to evolve into universities, Moorish universities, Moorish high schools, Moorish kindergarten, Moorish grade school, Moorish junior high school. Like, it was supposed to evolve into those things. But it didn't, again, because these Europeans already know what's up. And they know the easiest way to defeat the Moors is put them against each other. And then sit back and just wait for the dust to clear. Right? Again, which is why even what's happening there. Like, that's a school right there. It's Saturday school, but it's school. Because the people there are qualified to be able to relay this information to others who want this information. You know? But, you know, all in all, get that good European education, because it's really Moorish, because we taught all these Europeans. These Europeans didn't learn anything if it wasn't for the Moors. So don't let people get you in this thing about, you know, the white man's school and the white man's info and Europeans, they can't do whatever. Everything they got came from us. And going in with that mindset that, oh yeah, you guys are just giving me my stuff back, would make it easier to embrace learning and accept the fact that these people are really the keepers of our light or our knowledge. And it's time for us to get our stuff back, recalibrate it with a Moorish mind, and then do whatever it is that we're supposed to do with it for our nation, just like everybody else does. Right? So just stay on it, you know what I mean? And again, look at it from the perspective of, you know, look at the Ashkenazi Jews, for example, right? They have their own school that they go to. They don't go to regular school like everybody else's children. They go get brainwashed or whatever. They have their own school that they go to. When they talk about French immersion and all that type of stuff, you know, and then you have people going to a only French school, or they're going to a Catholic school, or they're going to, you know, whatever. Like, that's the same mindset we're supposed to have. But we're supposed to be doing that as for the future generations to have something. It's not for us to have something. Like, we're like the work that we do in this day as Moors isn't for us. Like, we're not doing these Skypes and all these stuff for us. You know what I mean? This is for others who are coming up later, to be able to have some type of reference points for them to find their way in this darkness or this illusion. Right? I will I answered your question. If you have any more, feel free to shoot it out, or if you're not clear about something.
No, that was the only question I had.
All right, more.
Islam.
Islam, stay strong, bro.
Thank you. You too.
And don't think people don't think that you're limited to one question. You know, we got some time, so bring whatever you got right now. Peace, more.
Peace. Very quick question. Since we are in a civic group, and there's all civic groups all around the country, what would be a good idea as a group for us to do in the next coming months to be active as far as showing our alliance and doing something as far as showing our presence as a group? Since let's say we're 20 people here, 22 people here,
yeah.
How can we go to, let's say, New York and help them as far as, let's say, to go to their state house, and then if they're trying to put someone on notice, that we support them to show a body of Moors getting these civic and law issues dealt with?
I think a lot of it is Moors really clamping down their own jurisdictions first. So, you know, like if like for example with let's say movie night, some black event or whatever, outreach, feed the hungry, clothe the hungry, humanitarian activities, let's say. Those group of Moors taking the position of doing things together where they're at. Right? So if there's somebody hears that there's a I don't know, let's say there's a poetry event coming up or something like that, all the Moors go to that thing. All the Moors have some type of flyers or whatever like that, information that they can pass to other people. You know, because remember, the most civic thing you could do is be humanitarian. This is why Drew Ali told Moors, uplifting fallen humanity. Because we're the ones that, the Moors are the ones that have the knowledge. Other people can make whatever claims that they want, but the real deal is that the Moors are the ones with the info that's going to save people out here. Everybody else is pacifying them. Everybody else is putting a breast in their mouth so they can stop crying. But
for example, halfway home or something like that, let's say they have like drug charges or anything minor, can we inform them of these particular issues and why they are not up or obligated to be subjugated under that jurisdiction?
Well, if you got as far as the halfway house, you're pretty much there already. You're in the jurisdiction. You know what I mean? Even though people who have situations that involved jail and things like that, those people are more civic minded, because you talk to brothers coming out of jail or whatever like that, they know that the prosecutor railroaded them. They know that their own lawyer railroaded them. They know that judge railroaded them. They know that, you know, CEOs and everybody else is running a fraud or whatever. They just don't know what to do about it, right? Which is where, you know, the body of Moors doing things comes in, so that you have somebody who's at, like for example, there's a Moor that we know out here that he got caught up in some BS. He's right now, or he was on waiting for a trial or something like that, something to that effect. He heard about Moors in there from a Moor who got kidnapped. So he contacted us, he reached out to us or whatever like that. And from in there, he did what he thought based on the information that he was finding out. He got himself off of the waiting list of waiting for court date to being sent to a halfway house because of the activity that he was doing for himself in there. This is behind the lines then, right? It wasn't us that did anything. All we did was give him the info. He took the info, and what we presented to him was all the international documents, the UN documents, the declarations and stuff like that. And he started going down the list, like, hold on a second. Well, how come you guys don't acknowledge this and this and this and this and this and this or whatever like that? Going to the chaplain, complaining to the chaplain about him not being able to have the religious right to, you know, have his whatever. Chaplain would be calling me up. Well, yo, so-and-so, he needs this book or whatever like that. He said that you're the one that's gonna, like, yeah. You know what I mean? And, you know, the support factor from Moors is really what those people need. They don't need to proclaim their nationality or you know, go through the process or whatever if they're still going through the ringer. You know what I mean? You wanna be in a position that when you say I'm declaring my nationality and proclaim my nationality, you don't have any stuff behind you that's gonna try to pull you back into the jurisdiction. This is why Drew Ali even told the Moors, all old business, leave it as it is, and all new business, do it in your free national name. So the things that Moors have to do is open up their heart so that love can shine, and then learn to love instead of hate. But that being something that you do, not something that we say. You know what I mean? Learning to love instead of hate is the Moors coming together, and they make a big pot of soup on the winter, and they're sitting out there in the -40 with the other homeless people, and they're giving out soup for 2 hours. That would have more of effect on the activity that you're going to do later than Moors going to court and trying to swindle people into, yeah, let's help you get you out of your charges because we're Moors and you can't do, and they shouldn't be doing this to you and whatever. But you're talking to Negroes who they could care less about what it is to be Moors. They just want to get out their ticket, or they just want to get out their IRS or whatever. And those people are not people that you want in your core group of Moors who are supposed to be for uplifting our people. Because once those people get what they want, trust me, they're out of here. Seen it happen numerous occasions. As soon as you help them, they don't need you anymore until they get their ass in something again, and now they're coming to you again. And then Moors taking the position of, oh yeah, well, love instead of hate, so come on, we'll help you again. Oh, no, we're not helping you again. Because where were you for the past 6 months after we helped you the first time? You know what I mean? The fact that you got off your stuff should have been enough for the individual to hang around for a little bit. You know what I mean? So just like I was telling the brother before, like, you know, you want to, it's a very high energy time as far as knowing information, getting information, and people could go to any website and find stuff out, and go on any YouTube channel and find stuff out. It's all good. It's learning. But the reality of this information is that it only works for you if you're working it yourself. So if you have 20 Moors, but only 10 of those Moors are really doing something with this information, then the other 10, they're just dead weight. And you'll see the stagnancy. Because it's going to be extremely hard to be able to convince people who their heart's really not in it. You know what I mean? Now, if you have 20 Moors who, all these Moors had some type of situation and they went through it themselves, you know what I mean? They didn't call somebody, oh yeah, I got this situation, can you help me with whatever, I need this, I need that. They went, they studied, they applied what it is that they studied, and they got themselves out of their situation. That's where it's supposed to be at. Because as soon as you start getting into the babysitting people and all that, then that's what you're going to create. People who want stuff done for them. People who you know, they want to plant flowers, but they want you to go in the dirt and dig the hole, and they just want to put the flower in. No, you go on your knees, you get your hand dirty, you get your back spasming and stuff like that from laying down flowers for the past 2 hours. You know what I mean? So, but again, the main thing is Moors who are on the same mindset, being together and doing things together. No matter what it is, go to a movie together. Go to dinner together. It doesn't always have to be we're going to some court or we're going to some police chief meeting. You know what I mean? Oh yeah, we need to go to the police chief meeting as Moors in order to get recognized. No, you can feed the hungry and get recognized as Moors. You know what I mean? The Moors can go to the botanical gardens together and just be walking around. You don't even have to say anything to anybody, and just look at the atmosphere around you when Moors are there. You know what I mean? Even with Brother Jamal's and them doing certain things of, you know, they say, okay, we're gonna go to City Hall one day. Between where they meet up and City Hall, the amount of stuff that's happening in between before they get to City Hall, they might not even make it to City Hall. The amount of people that they're bumping into that's stopping them, it might take them 5 hours to get to City Hall. You know what I mean? And these are the things that you know, because remember that Allah guides this. So there's higher forces, there's higher energies that are looking at what we're doing, not just these people out here. You know what I mean? Ancestors are looking at what we're doing. So once we're doing things, you know, according to the principles, love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice, then we should be straight. It really shouldn't be an issue. As soon as that there's issues, just recognize that, okay, maybe we're lacking in living by the principles. And we need to reevaluate how, you know what I mean, we're doing certain things. Right? There's a lot more. You have any more questions, or you're straight?
Good, thank you.
All right. Because I mean, I know that as far as the with regard to this information, everybody's always waiting for the, you know, the eureka information. That's oh yeah, that's what, like, that's, there ain't nothing like that. This stuff is real simple. This stuff is based in common sense. Like once common sense is active in you, then this stuff should work. It shouldn't even be any issues. You know what I mean? It was like I don't know if it's online or whatever, but there was a lecture that Bobby Hemmett did with the Nuwapians back in the day, and it was like 4 hours or something like that. You know what I mean? And he's talking, he's going through the lecture, blah blah, and every little while somebody would put their hand up, you know, and all right, so like, you know, so when we gonna get the real information? You know, and then he'll go into something, and then, yeah, so when we gonna get the real information? Then eventually stop. He's like, what do you guys mean? You guys teachers, Dr. York. Like what more do you, what can I give you that Dr. York never gave you yet? You know what I mean? Like, do you know who your master teacher is? If you're looking at me to give you something that Dr. York never gave you, then why are you even following him? You know what I mean? So look at it simple. It's very simple. You know, don't look for the eureka moment stuff. Just take the information for what it is. And once you use your common sense and this thing activates, then it's gonna take off, guaranteed. Islam says.
Islam. So our group here, we've been getting together to support each other in matters and also on a personal level, just hanging out. Do you think as a community we should do a tort claim instead of dealing with individuals' problems, deal as a group in district court? Do you think, in your opinion, would that be more effective to help handle issues in this area?
Well, all the individuals who have something should be able to say, here's our transcripts. Mm-hmm. Right? And then all those people with because if you're gonna file any tort claim, you need transcripts.
Yeah.
So that should be the first thing. Who has transcripts? And
Jamal actually keeps a record of all the issues that we're dealing with, and we have transcripts of every issue.
Right.
So that we can eventually work on a tort claim together.
Right.
And use that as an anchor for Moors in other areas.
But see, but don't even look at it just like we were saying earlier. Look at it as galvanizing your area. You know what I mean? Making it so that Moors in your area are, you know, directly affected in a positive manner by that activity. A good example is the Moors with Brother Kennick L near Virginia Corporation. Mm-hmm. Right? Those Moors have governor calling them to come meet. No tort claims filed. This is just on their activity, because they're in the schools, because they're you know, they're going to Senate and stuff like that to sit in, just to be there. Just their presence alone has these people bending over backwards working with them without any tort claims or whatever. So you also have to look at the activity of the individuals that are in these situations. So, for example, if we're trying to build tort claims based on transcripts of people whose cars smell like weed and they got tickets, you're probably not gonna get too far with that tort claim. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Right? You know, not that, you know, I mean, you know, it's legal now and you can go to the shop and get the stuff and all that stuff, you know, but again, you know, what is the basis of the claim? If the claim is based on people doing whatever and then they get their ass kicked, then, well, you know, maybe you shouldn't have been doing whatever. You wouldn't have got your ass kicked. But if you're talking about people getting violated for standing up for their right,
Yeah.
in the most pristine sense of standing up for the right, then those are the ones that you would, you know, like, you know, you fine tooth comb everybody's issue, and the issues that really have a position with regard to Constitution, with regard to rights violations, then those are the ones that you use. And then the people who aren't on that list, they should be back and it's still 100. You know what I mean? Because, you know, people are going to get in their emotional thing. Well, my situation should be on the list because, you know, I got a black eye from the situation or whatever. Well, you know, maybe you needed to get punched in the face by these people. You know what I mean? Because you were really in violation. Because, you know, you didn't even say the prayer before you went out to do whatever you were doing. Like, what do you expect to happen? You know what I'm saying? But I mean, it's something that's always talked about. I think it's a good idea. The Moors here, we have a lot of Moors with right to travel issues, because Moors here are taking a position like, you know, you guys aren't telling me anything because I've been to court. You know what I mean? And you guys dismissed the stuff. So what do you mean you're giving me another ticket for stuff that you're gonna dismiss? What's going on here? You know what I mean? So we have like out here we set up committees, you know, as far as the temple, different committees, and you know, once you're a member of the temple, you have to be on some type of committee. And one of our committees is the jurisprudence committee, and that's one of the things that they're looking at doing, getting all these people's transcripts together, you know what I mean, going through everything and eventually putting in some type of claim against them for violating the Moors, not individuals, you know, like what you're saying. So but again, it's just making sure that the cases that are selected to be the ones, or the individuals that are selected, that, you know, they also don't have other pending things that are going on that could compromise the suit. You know what I mean? Because that's also, you know, it's no different than how they say, you know, they're gonna go pull up, like how they did with Umar Johnson or whatever. You know what I mean? They're gonna say, oh yeah, you can't do whatever like that, or you can't do this, you can't do that, and then they're gonna go pull up some video from 5 years ago with this guy waving a gun or whatever to say, oh yeah, well, you know, look at what type of person he is or whatever. You know what I mean? The people whose names are going down on that suit, their stuff better be tight. You know what I mean? You don't want to have them to be able to go check somebody's past whatever and pull up stuff to make it look like, you know, you're just trying to get out of something. This should strictly be based in rights being violated, and those rights being, or that suit being filed so that those rights could be given back to the people.
Okay.
Right. But yeah, it's something that you know, Moors that are in jurisdictions that are active and that are competent, that they should be doing, and especially you know, when you're dealing with things like, you know, certain states that origins lie in the 13 colonies, that they know what's up. You know what I mean? They know that they're corporate. They know that they don't really have jurisdiction in Aboriginal Indigenous affairs, and if they are taking that position, that is probably under some Inquisition policy. It's probably under some statute, some code, some ordinance, some act that they're trying to get everybody to be under as wards. You know what I mean? And again, you know, if somebody's going to say you're a ward, then that's denationalization. You know? Sorry to cut you. You had another question?
So our group is currently trying to form structure amongst ourselves so that we can do more work. Is there any advice that you could bring from your group to ours? Something that maybe you wish you would have thought of earlier, or that was very much needed that we should be thinking of? Or something that would be effective for us.
I think the main thing is just, you know, everybody who is affiliated being on the same mindset. Like nothing trumps Moors being on the same mindset as a body. And again, we're using the Moors in Mecca that we came up under as an example. That, you know, the muftis had their day when their classes were going on. The health people had their day when their classes were going on. The jurisprudence people had their day when their classes were going on. The Sunday school had a day. The children had a day where they're doing their stuff. The mothers or the women's auxiliary had a day where they were doing whatever. There was no cross-contamination. You know what I mean? Everybody was doing what it is that they're supposed to do as far as their skill set. You know what I mean? There was, for example, there was one more who did the art for everything. Anybody need art, anything? That's the more. We're not going to anybody else to go get our art stuff done when we have more right here. Well, he's backed up 20 people. Well, then you're number 21. But you're not going to take the energy and put it somewhere else and then to bring it back. You're going to keep the energy right here. You know what I mean? Again, doing things together that aren't what we would say the protocol. You know what I mean? Movie. Go to movies together. Go to dinner together. Just go in a park and sit there together for a couple hours. Just shoot the BS. You know what I mean? It doesn't have to be that we are always out here trying to sue somebody. We are always out here trying to fight a ticket. We are always out here trying. No, like we can you know, like we want to do a well, not want to. We're gonna be doing a women's appreciation dinner, right? As far as our temple, right? Because we recognize that the women's neglected or whatever. So, you know, we're gonna have a day where the women go out and go do whatever. Do your nails, do your feet, do your hair, whatever you want to do, go do whatever. Bring the children to the temple. We're going to babysit for the day. Go do whatever. After you're done doing whatever, come back to the temple or back to wherever we decide, and then we're going to give you all a dinner. So you could sit down and you could eat some food and you could be served and you could be treated like how you should be treated as the matriarchs. Right? It's going to be only one day for now, but eventually, you know, it's going to be a routine that we do. Just because we figure, you know, why not give them honors, and why wouldn't the mothers want the honors? You know what I mean? So that's an aspect that I would have wished we did early out. You know what I mean? All the women that came in, put them in a corner and tell them, you guys need to do some stuff. Just the women. No men doesn't need any input or anything like that. because we came from you, right? So you taking the reins. You be the ones to say, well, you know what? We think that, you know, the flag should go a little bit higher, or, you know, we should get some more color in here, or we should whatever. Just the woman's frequency. You know what I mean? Because that definitely adds something. You know what I mean? Especially when the women know that what they're doing is not just for themselves, but it's going to help the sons and it's going to help the children, and people are going to be, the energy is going to change just because of these things that quote unquote the women are doing. And again, when you do the research on the women's auxiliary and you see the amount of stuff that they were doing, just them, like not grand sheiks involved and they're putting their nose in it or whatever like that. This is just the women only. You know what I mean? You could see why, you know, Juali had the sister on the cover holding her. You can see why he always said, oh yeah, I have a greater respect for womanhood. Where he made it a point that, you know, the matriarchal position is really the most powerful position in this. Fezzes are matriarchal. Turbans are matriarchal. Quran is feminine. You know, like there's all these things that have this feminine energy to it that doesn't get the attention that it deserves, being that it's that. You know. But yeah, I think that's the main thing. Getting the woman more involved and making sure that everybody who's in is on a certain mindset. And those who aren't on that mindset, they're either on the come up to that mindset, or they're not involved, because you don't need baggage in this. You don't need stagnancy. You don't need, you know, weights on your ankles in water. It's not benefiting at all. Right?
Thank you.
Islam.
Islam.
You have a question? You've been answering.
No questions at all.
So, always got a great question.
So no questions.
I don't want to say your name, but the girl line.
You have another question?
Well, he kind of took my question, but it was outside of our own personal studies and being together as a group, what could we do, like, what, in his opinion, what could we do to strengthen our team and our nation building here?
Well, continue to do what we're doing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, ultimately, you know, that, you know, just doing what the soul dictates. You know what I mean? And again, once it's in harmony with the principles, once it's in harmony with the lessons that were laid down, there shouldn't be any issues like that. You know what I mean? Like we're saying, like, you know, people get into this information and it's the appearance is that, you know, this is universe vast, and, you know, oh my gosh, like, how are we gonna ABCD, and how are we gonna this and that or whatever. But everything's already been done. Like Noble Drew Ali laid the groundwork for what we're supposed to do. You know what I mean? You know, there's Moors right now in Japan that know that they're Moors. There's Moors in Switzerland that know that they're Moors. There's Moors in, you know, UK, Europe, whatever. There's Moors that are on the native reserves that are coming into this information knowing that they're not Indians and they're not under the Bureau of Indian Affairs and all that type of stuff. And you can't tell me that I have to do whatever, you know. And all of that is happening because of the work that the true Moors, the faithful Moors, the ones that have been doing, that are affecting the ethers. Remember, our work that we do as Moors is mystic work. You know what I mean? This is why, again, let me pull up another one of these things. This is why there's this one that everybody hates. Everybody hates this one. Everybody seeing that?
Yep.
Right? Professor Drew, the Egyptian adept student. One, he's letting you know that I am a Muslim. Well, if he's Muslim, how is he Egyptian? Because apparently Muslims don't come from Egypt. That's not that school of thought. You know? He's an adept student. How is he an adept and a student? And what message is he saying to people who claim that they're adepts? You know what I mean? Right? He's putting things in its proper perspective. And again, all these things are relative to what it is that we can do. You know, how can we strengthen? We can strengthen by recognizing that, hey, if this man's Egyptian adept student and I have the secret of destroying the germs of tuberculosis and cancer of the lungs in 10 to 30 days, how did he die of tuberculosis? How did he die of pneumonia? How did he, like, the guy who can cure stuff died of the stuff that he can claim he can cure? And there's no questions. There's no looking at people funny who claim that they were the signer of the death certificate for Noble Drew Ali and all that stuff. How are you signing the death certificate of Noble Drew Ali and then it's saying that he died of some disease that's on the list that he said he had the cure for? In the 1900s, early 1900s. 2-3 days. You're going to be cured of anything that you weren't born with? You know? It's very obvious that people stop doing what they're supposed to do and stop teaching what they're supposed to teach for whatever gain it was that they were getting. Which is why certain questions are understandable. Because we should be farther along than we are. It shouldn't be where it is right now. No way it's supposed to be where it is right now. It's supposed to be way past this. But the fact that we're here, lets us know how much work that we can do. Lets us know why it's important that we do the work that we do, regardless of what the outcome is. The influence that Moors have on others, based in the knowledge that the Moors have, is really the saving grace for humanity. You know what I mean? On whatever level, from the lowest level of inactivity to Moors on the highest level of activity. Everything that Moors do has a direct effect on others, especially if they're taking the position of wanting to know more or be more or get with people who are doing more, and like for example, with regard to what it is that we can do. Like, we know that we've been doing certain activity out here, right? And this is from the horse's mouth. Brother Sabir been up here for the past week or whatever. Now, he met with people out here who I know personally. They're telling him that they never heard about Mars. Right? They're telling him, oh yeah, come teach our youth and all that stuff or whatever like that. Come talk to this guy. Come to this place. And he's looking at it like, oh wow, there's a lot of activity going on here. People want to know about this. They don't want to know about that. They're riding coattails. Because we've been out here. Before we were talking about Moorish whatever, we were out here doing this same work. It just wasn't called Moorish. Right? We had access to buildings. You know what I mean? Like, we're talking buildings, 2-floor, 3-floor, you know what I mean? 500 people lecture hall type buildings. Right? When we were Negro, black, colored, conscious, we had that. You know what I mean? We had the likes of Professor Griff here, who you see right now, he's kicking Leor Cohen's ass with facts right now. We had those people out here. We had Black Dot out here. We had Hemet out here. Kabahaya, Watha Kamene, Booker T. Coleman. Like, you name them. You know what I'm saying? But as soon as we started saying Moors, you know, everything cut off. No more support. You know, or support's very limited, or support is shiesty. That it's not really the same how it was. Like, trust me, as a black guy, I used to get checks to go teach people black stuff. Whether it was school, community group, whatever. People would link me regular. Right? Regular. As soon as we start talking about Moors, all of a sudden, oh no, nah. These guys are with the slavers now, and you know, they don't want to know about Moors, but they're telling Sabir come talk to their youth group. When they know Moors, it's not like they needed Sabir to be here to whatever. They could link me on the phone directly. I had the same number since 2001. You know what I mean? Ain't nothing changed, but those people's perspective. Because we're still doing what it is that we've been doing. It ain't nothing different. It's just saying that we're Moors now. You know what I mean? But that's not going to deter us from doing what it is that we're doing, because we already know that this isn't for everybody. Like I said, if I know Moors reached out to me from China, that they know that they're Moors and they're in China, and they're telling me about, you know what, thanks for your classes or whatever, because yeah, everybody knows that we're Moors. There's L's and B's and Ali's in China. If that's a fact, then nobody can tell me anything about we can't be, this is not what we're supposed to be on. You know what I mean? If we're going to, you know, just like we say, we go to whatever together as Moors, and you got nationals stopping in their tracks or whatever, pull out their phone, they want to take pictures to send back home and all that type of stuff for people. You think this is not real? You think this is not where people need to be immediately, as far as our people that classify themselves as Negro, black, colored? Immediately they need to be here. And if they don't want to be here, it's cool. You know what I mean? It's not, it is what it is. But trust that when the skies open up and the blessings start showering on the Moors, don't think you can slide in then and get your blessings, because your dues would have had to be paid in order for the ancestors to look out for you. It's like this sister that used to do that we know that used to go into trance or whatever like that, and she was into the Vodun, and she used to go into trance as Olokun, right? So she would you know, go into trance, just not set up anything. Olokun will just jump in her, right? She'll take off her shirt or whatever like that. It doesn't matter. We'll be on the street, whatever like that. When spirit takes her, it is what it is, right? Take off her shirt, tie it around her waist or whatever like that. You know, go pick up something. That's going to be her machete or whatever. Find something to sit on. That's going to be her Ashanti stool. And you know that that's not the sister who was just here with her clothes on or whatever. We know that this is something different going on. You know what I mean? And she'll be laying on it, laying it down, laying it down, laying it down. She'll be like, you know what? Don't even waste your time with your people. Don't even waste your time. Ancestors already abandoned them. Ancestors don't even, you know, just look at the conditions. As we always say, just look at the conditions of the people. Do they look like they have ancestors? Look at what they're going through. Do they look like they're protected by somebody? Don't even waste your time. You know what I mean? Focus on the ones who want this. Focus on the ones that you can have an influence on, which at that time would be the children and the ones who are already on this. Anybody else? They're not even, and again, this is, you know, being gone of the black and the African, whatever, into the metaphysical, and then coming into the moral science. You know, and having the experience of knowing that, yeah, there's actually a realm that the ancestors are on that relates with this realm, this physical realm. And ancestors will be coming here through people, through things, through whatever, to stress the point that, you know what, you're on the right path. Don't deviate from the path. Don't think that you have some brilliant whatever that's going to work that the ancestors aren't backing. If the ancestors aren't backing it, trust me, it's going to fail. Guaranteed. Seen it happen. Right? Even with the last picture that we put up. MorrisSociety.com. Right? Go look them up. Non-existent anymore. Why? Because they messed with the ancestors. Because these individuals had this brilliant idea of, let's have a website where we can just have Moorish information on there. Right? In imagery. But every image, every single image, they had their little Morris Society whatever across the image. That ain't honoring no ancestors. How you putting your logo and stuff across the image that people are supposed to be using as their reference point? You want to promote yourself that bad that you couldn't find a little corner in the bottom or something like that? Every image, across every image. You just look up MorrisSociety.com in images, and you see all their images the same thing. And it's something that they got checked on. Hey, how come you guys just messing up all the images with your goddamn logo? Like, why? What's the purpose of doing that? Oh, well, we have to promote. Yeah, but you can promote on the bottom corner. Didn't want to hear nothing. Now, they're not here. Website's done. Where are those people at? Who knows? You know where those people are at. You know, same thing with the, you know, be Moors but do UCCs. Be Moors but do all these European processes. And not realizing that, you know, if these people aren't here in 5 years, clearly they weren't for the movement. If they were here and disappeared, and then they have all this stuff out there now, that you could just Google them and then they're going to come up, but they're not really there. That's just the stuff that they left. You know that they were about playing games with the people. You know they weren't really about the people knowing about the truth about this. And when we say know the truth about this, you know, this is not limited to some Noble Drew Ali and what he brought. The truth about this is this stuff is millions of years old. They got more on hieroglyphics and all that type of stuff. This is not some new stuff we just came about yesterday. Or yeah, Noble Drew Ali, and then, you know, that's where we stopped, 1913. You can't go before that because the Prophet told us we're not black. There are people saying they're not black before Noble Drew Ali. Saying that they're not Negro before Noble Drew Ali. Acknowledging that they didn't come over here on no slave ship and all that. But he's the realest reference point that we have. You know? Any more questions out there?
Anyone? Well, as you were talking, I kind of... Oh, no, come on. No, go ahead. I talk for hours every Saturday.
Yeah. Yeah, say this is break time.
What do you say?
Say this is break time right now.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, trust me, I know, bro. Trust me. I know. I know.
In your opinion, should we be pursuing group economics, Moorish businesses? What are your thoughts on that? And should we be doing them completely, on our own, or should we have to make compromises when we're being threatened?
As far as the group economics, anything that a more has, more should be supported. Right? So if there's a more that they got shea butter, then nobody should be getting Jergens. Right? It's not even supposed to be a thought. That person should be out of stuff every week. You know what I mean? Again, if we use like what the black guys never talk about or whatever, they're gonna bring up Black Wall Street, but they're never gonna bring up that came out of the Trail of Tears, which is indigenous culture. So this idea of the Black Wall Street and the black people circulating the money in their community, that's BS. There's no black people in Black Wall Street. That's what these people called it. They didn't call it Black Wall Street when the term black wasn't even being used. Right?
Yeah.
But they were practicing some self-sufficiency to the extreme. They were practicing some self-determination to the extreme. That's the same stuff that Moors are trying to get people to do today. Support their own. Stop looking at over there those guys' stuff. Don't worry about those people's stuff. What you got to bring to the table? You know what I mean? So and then once you find those individuals who have the things like with the same example, bare necessities, soap and toothpaste and cream and stuff like that. There's mad Moors that do that. You know what I mean? Those Moors should be getting supported by Moors. Seamstresses, tailors. There's crazy amount of Moors who do that. But again, it's going back to that thing with when you're talking about the compromise. A lot of these people, they got to do some 9 to 5 whatever. Which eliminates their time to be able to put the energy towards really what they should be doing. One of the biggest issues that even we're having out here is that, because I work at the school board, so I get summers off. You know what I mean? And there's no feeling beats going to the temple or going to the Moorish institution to go work. That after your day's done, that you're like, God damn, like I don't even feel like I worked today. I don't even feel like I just came off a slave, like how it feels when you go on the slave. Regardless of what job you do, you could be doing nothing. After those 8 hours, you're beat. You want to go home. You know what I mean? You're like, can I do this tomorrow and all this type of stuff? But it's not the same when we do for ourselves. And then again, going back to when we look at all the other nations, they're going to support their own 100 before they support anything else. Doesn't even matter. They're going to go make some fake Jordans and buy that instead of buying Jordans. They're going to put an upside down swoosh on some sneakers and say that's their sneakers instead of go buy Nikes. Right? Because their mindset is we should be doing for ourselves. Right? It should be our thing. We should be able to, the Hindu's going to look, they're going to see a God that looks like them. I got some European on the wall or whatever saying that that's their God. Or that's their prophets or whatever. Any type of Asians, same thing. They're not looking at some foreigner as their all and be all to save them out of something, or that they got to go to them for some grant to do whatever. They're going to go to all these businesses or whatever that are Chinese, and everybody has to put up $1,000 a month. That's just what it is.
One of the things we were trying to do with our website at Rise of the Moors is offer a platform for Moorish businesses to grow. And so that they can get on their feet have their own platforms.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, and you know, again, you know, it's really about these things being passed down to the younger ones, because the older ones, they don't got too much longer to be here. So even if they get on it, I mean, it's not really gonna. But you put some 10-year-old on, hey, you know what you should do? You should start your own business or whatever. Here's the stuff to start your own business. As 10-year-old. And then everybody comes together and backs that 10-year-old. In 10 years, their business is going to be something guaranteed. You know what I mean? And they get out of that mindset of having to go to somebody else to do something.
Yeah.
Or to get something, or, you know, they can do it amongst themselves. Even at that young age. Just go check online European children's businesses. So much billions these people are making. Thousands people are making because they have some YouTube page or whatever.
Yeah.
Now again, with Liar taking over that's going to be a whole different thing now. That's going to be different. You know what I mean? They're already starting to shut down people's channels and stuff like that because, you know, it's turning into police state even on YouTube.
I know. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Which again goes back again to Dame Dash talking independent for years, talking independent. You know what I mean? You know, we should have our own whatever. You're like, what are you talking about? We need these European corporations and all that type of stuff. Like, no, we don't need them. We got enough amongst ourselves. You know what I mean? We have enough amongst ourselves. Actually, there's another one to put up. Let me just find this one quick fast. It's not like the things aren't happening in our face so that we know that it's time. The things are happening in our face right now, so we know that it's time. Right? And how much of it are people picking up on? Are they picking up on it or are they asleep? Right? Now, you think he's starting up his own school and all that type of stuff because he doesn't know what's up? You think he doesn't know what's up?
There's no way.
Right? What did he say? More than an athlete. This is bigger than dunk some basketball. Because trust that people are on this info and they're doing whatever it is that they can to try to influence our people. That you better get self-sufficient right now. You better take all this finance that you got from these Europeans over the years and be investing it in something for yourself. Because that's what everybody else is doing.
Yeah.
If this guy's saying free tuition, free uniform, free bike and helmet, free transport, free breakfast, lunch, snacks, food pantry, GEDs and job placement for parents, guaranteed tuition to university for every student who graduates. You tell me who's not graduating from that school right there. Right? And this is one individual. Imagine all of them took the, and again, you know, on the court, I could give a esh about LeBron. Because I gave up on the court stuff a long time ago. But off the court, he's the man. Right? Laying it down so that the people know. Right? Did that change? No, it didn't change. I don't know what the hell's going on with this thing not changing. Let me show you another one. You might have heard about this one already, but
yeah.
Right, this one too. The more. The more launched July 1st, 2018. Took Spanish colonial home built in 1921 right? And they revamped it to a 4-unit hostel. African Moroccan vibe, and they call it the Moor. The design, direction, and property architecture are inspired by the Moors of North Africa's influence. Everybody's trying to do something to inspire our people to do more. Be more. Just sit back, pretend like we don't or we can't or whatever. Right, anybody who's in New Orleans, make sure you go check out the Moor. Right, and again, it's Howard University alumni. Yeah, how come they didn't call their stuff the African, the black or whatever? Think they don't know what's up? And then go check how much support they're getting from the quote-unquote black community or whatever. Bet you only Europeans go into this spot. Bet you. You know what I mean? 'Cause as soon as Negroes hear Moors, they're offended. You know? They're right. Those are the slave traders or whatever. Right? Where's that other one? Oh yeah. Right? Everybody trying the best that they can to inspire our people just to even have a little consideration for more, right? You know, you think that they're not yelling at our people? Wake the hell up. Now again, half of these people, they can't really say too much. Because they a lot. Say that again?
Will Smith.
Yeah, Will Smith. Yeah. You know what I mean? Him and Nick Cannon, and you already know Nick Cannon got his turban up. You know?
Yes.
Right? Nick Cannon already got his stuff up. He's not playing around with these people. He opened his own bar, all that type of stuff. Right? Trying to inspire our people. With the Moorish influence.
That's Will Smith and Nick Cannon.
Right?
Islam, brother.
Islam, sis.
Okay, my question is regarding spirituality.
Mm-hmm.
I know a lot of. I'm from the island of Kubanakan, aka Cuba.
Right.
So we grew up with a lot of Orisha worshiping and other quote unquote religious systems.
Yeah.
So when you come to this knowledge, a lot of Moors are very fond on keeping, the Muslim or Islam culture, and they see any other occult science as abomination.
Right.
So I would like to know what's your opinion when it comes to if we as Moors should be open to occult science, because I believe we created it.
Yep.
I believe it all came from us. And if we should be open and less judgmental when it comes to other quote-unquote religious systems, spiritual systems, and that type of stuff, like voodoo,
right.
Orisha, tarot, astrology,
Yeah.
all of that stuff.
Yep. All of it is Moorish science. All of it is Moorish science. And when our people have this idea of abandoning the divine aspects that we don't understand, as even Nas said it, they hate what they don't understand and fear what they can't conquer. That's the position of our people. They hate what they don't understand and fear what they can't conquer. So as soon as like I was saying earlier, like I'm a son of Olokun. Right? Like it's not that's what
funny. I'm a daughter of Jemaya.
Right. So you know what I mean? Like it's not like we don't try to find the hole in the tree to put some fruits in, or go into the middle of the intersection and put a plate down. Like, that's just what it is. Because we acknowledge that everything is more science. Well, you can't tell me about there are more, but they don't deal with astrology. Tripping. Can't tell me that you're a Moor, but you don't deal with Shango and Obatala and Yemeya and all that. There's no way. Anybody talking like that, they don't know more science.
Yes.
Right?
This question was more for other people than for me.
Yeah.
But I think it's necessary because a lot of Moors are afraid, and they're afraid of what they don't know.
Right.
And they are judgmental, very judgmental to the Moors that embrace what we know.
Yeah.
And I believe that Moors like us in the island kept that culture intact. So the Moors coming into knowledge now can tap into it.
Right. No doubt. Even when you look at with Toussaint Louverture, you think they beat those Europeans just with some guns or whatever? They didn't beat those Europeans with guns only. They had their people doing other stuff in the background, guaranteed. Right? Mao. You think Didan Kamathi and them people weren't dealing in some occult sciences or whatever? You think these Europeans are scared because of, the Moors are or black people are strong and they're bigger than them and all that? No, they're scared of our divine connection. That's what they fear most, which is why they push their whole Christianity and whatever like that on our people. Because they know that it's going to shut down their connection to the Orishas. And once the just like we said, I don't know if you were there earlier when we were talking about the sister that used to go into trance. Yeah. Like one of her biggest things was, that these people, and again, we're speaking from her being Olokun, so this is Olokun talking. It's not this sister talking.
No.
This is Olokun talking.
It takes you over.
Yeah, like the ancestors have abandoned these people. This is 2004, 2005. She was talking like this. You know what I mean? These people are abandoned by the ancestors. Just look at what they're going through in their life. That proves they have no ancestors in their life. There's no way.
People don't understand that there is certain thing as fallen ancestors, just like fallen angels. If you honor your ancestors are in a corner just dry like a dead cilantro.
Yeah.
They are not there. They are not in a position to assist you.
Yeah.
So honoring their ancestors gives them life, elevate them to a certain position where they can aid you.
Right. Like, exactly. Like I'm saying, like I'm a Moor, right? But like I got my shrine right there. Like I'm not, you know what I mean? Like I know what's up.
Yeah.
They have their water on the shrine and all that stuff.
Yeah, I see your pyramid, I see you. I see you.
Right? Get a little closer for you.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful.
Right? So they know what's up.
I see. It looks like a ganga.
Right? They're gonna give me my protection. I ain't know about anybody else. And I'm gonna get mine from them for sure. For sure. But yeah, it's something that only when you get to this level, only when till you get to the level of moral science do you realize how much things are part of this that we weren't told.
Well,
that this is part of it.
JP Morgan said millionaires don't use astrology, billionaires do.
Yeah.
People that know that there is certain planet movement that you don't supposed to be doing certain things.
Right.
And don't you think that's why certain Europeans don't sign certain contracts during retrograde? For example, right now Mercury retrograde is not a good time to sign no contract.
Right.
Nobody, no house, no car, no nothing. It's just sit down and don't sign anything.
Exactly.
And they know it. They know it. And we are the ones that don't know it, and we fail to recognize it, and then we ask, why things are not going our way, because you're not moving with the stars. That's why.
Right. Now let me just put this one up too, since we're talking about that.
If I didn't have to work today, absolutely.
Right. Energy is the currency of the universe. When you pay attention to something, you buy that experience. So when you allow your consciousness to focus on someone or something that annoys you, you feed it your energy and it reciprocates with the experience of being annoyed. Be selective in your focus because your attention feeds the energy of it and keeps it alive. Not just within you, but in the collective consciousness as well. Regardless of the planet, a retrograde usually signals a period of delayed progress or disruption, where we experience that stalling effect, however, depends on which planet happens to be retrograde.
Yeah.
With so many planets hitting their backspin at once, which is like right now, I think we got 3 or 4 planets in retrograde right now, which is crazy. Nobody should be doing anything right now.
Yes.
It can feel like your hands are tied and all you can do is wait for the retrogrades to end. Never fear, you can still go about your daily life with relative ease, though the heavens would appreciate it if you did so with a little more care for the next few months. Because we believe it or not, retrogrades don't solely occur to drive us nuts. They can actually teach us to slow down and act more thoughtfully as well as we're ready to learn, as long as we're ready to learn that lesson.
That lesson. Yep.
So you have to be willing to learn the lesson that everything is more science.
Yes, it's just like people saying the moon doesn't affect them. If the moon affects the ocean and we are 70% water, don't you think the moon will affect you? And we fail to move, and look at the moon. Like today is a very important moon. Today is a new moon.
Yeah.
Where we set intentions.
Yeah.
So in a few months from now, we can see the manifestation. We are not going to see nothing right now because of all the retrogrades. Yeah. But we plant the seed. When you plant the seed, the plant don't grow in 3 days. It takes time.
Exactly.
But if you don't plant the seed, you will never have nothing to see.
You have nothing, yeah. At least you have an opportunity with planting the seed.
Exactly. Yeah. And it's a solar eclipse and then new moon in Leo, which is it's just very powerful. And I would love our people, my people, Moors, to really get in tune with that type of stuff so they can advance and
but see, like
life and all of the stuff,
But like we were saying earlier, that this is where Moors that have certain expertise, have to present their expertness. Just because it's needed, just because it's not gonna happen if the one doesn't do it. You know what I mean? Like it's like we say with us having the temple out here, right? It wasn't us that wanted this to happen. This is part of what Noble Juali laid down in the 1900s, that he was coming up here to set up a temple here and all that. The seed was planted back then. The tree just manifested now. You know what I mean? But it wasn't like this was our brilliant idea to have a temple here. You know what I'm saying? It was all divine intervention. It was all the spiritual mystic work that we've been doing or whatever that lined us up to be in the position that we're at.
Yes.
And again, it's time for Moors to start doing and exercising, but that is not limited to go to court or deal with highwaymen. You know what I mean? You there have an institution where if, and I'm pretty sure Brother Jamal's is good with it, that you do some classes to get people, get their feet wet with regard to accepting this spiritual side that they maybe have never considered because nobody ever told them that, the Orishas are theirs too. You know what I mean? Like when you look at Obatala, Allah's in Obatala.
Yeah.
I mean,
yep.
If Obatala is looked at as one of the chief Orishas and Allah is in his name, then what does that say about Allah? You know what I mean? If we say, you know, we talk to any Nigerian, any Ghanaian, and they know about Orishas and all that stuff, and then they see us in fezzes, and they're looking at us like, oh wow, you got a fez on and stuff like that. You know, only Igbo chiefs wear those, and only princes wear those, and only kings and only whatever wear those. They see sisters with their turban, oh my gosh, you're wearing white and all that type of stuff. So you must know about the Orishas and whatever. All these are things letting us know that the time is now, that people have been waiting for the Moors to get caught up. People have been waiting for the Moors to get to that position where they can actually point at a Moor and say, go ask that guy, or go ask that sister right there. Because they're the ones that actually know what's up. And we're in that place right now. You know what I mean? And again, like we were saying earlier, there should be a women's auxiliary. Wherever there's a body of Moors, there should be a separate entity that it's only the women that are part of that. And they're taking the position of, you know, looking at all the so-called men as their sons, and all the so-called children as their children too, regardless of which womb they came out of. And taking that power that Noble Drew Ali gave them while they were unconscious in his arms, and using that power now, because you're not in his arms anymore unconscious. You're awake now. You're not 101 questionnaire Moabitises. You're not, that's not what's going on. Even though we still have that book today with that sister unconscious on the cover, you're not unconscious no more. You're up now. I'm seeing, you know, brothers and sisters with turbans and fezzes on, and Noble Drew Ali prophesied that we're going to see the streets filled with turbans and fezzes. That's going on right now. It might not even be Asiatics. It might be other people that Asiatics inspired to say, oh yeah, put on your fez. For example, let me put that one out there too. If you heard a few classes ago, we were talking about people recognizing the Moors. So one of these teachers right here, one day I had on my kufi. Sister Miriam, if anybody knows Sister Miriam Bay, she makes knitted fezzes. So I was wearing the knitted fez, and the fez is more like a kufi, right? Red with a black tassel on it. This European said, hey, I like your fez. Like my fez? I'm not wearing a fez right now. Well, you know what I mean, symbolically, I know that you're wearing a fez. Oh, alright. I have a fez at home. Oh yeah, what? Yeah, when I went to Turkey or Egypt or something like that, you know what I mean, I got the fez or whatever. So, you know, what we should do one day, we should wear our fezzes. Like, for real, you wanna do it? Alright, let's do it. So this is the day that we wore our fezzes. Whole school tripping. Yo, what's going on? Like, why are you guys wearing those? How come you're wearing those? You know, like, and this was just a capture of the moment. That when we start being ourselves, when we start activating who we are, other people are going to step up and let us know that either, yeah, you're on point or whatever like that, or, you know, you're full of BS. And if this European knows what's up, right? That was also, there was a sister, a young sister, that she was saying, hey, how come you're wearing the genie hat or whatever? I'm like, well, you know, because this is our culture or whatever. I'm like, well, you got any witches? Because you're in front of the genie right now. She's like, yeah, money. And I gave her a stack of paper. But she didn't get the joke. Right? Because she claimed she wanted money, so I gave her paper. But it's obvious that right now, it's wake-up time for our people. If they don't want to wake up, then they'll continue to be resonating in the slime of life like Noble Drew Ali talked about. Getting nothing, getting no respect, no honor, no appreciation, just being what it is that they've always been, these people's property. And again, the brother read Kavit M. Tor. The Moors on the high road will be looking at these destructionists fall on the low road. And at that time, it's going to be too late, because you're not going to be able to get from the low road to the high road once there's no low road. You're going down with the low road if you're on the low road. Right? But give thanks, sis. You have any more questions?
Thank you.
All right, sis. Peace.
Peace.
No questions at all.
You know how it goes. After class, they're gonna bombard you with questions.
I answered none of them. I have a question.
Yes, more.
It's kind of like a multiple questions, because you're always active on YouTube. It's like you're dropping videos every week. You're doing like the whole Canaanland Morse Presents. As an example, you did, Canaanland Morse Presents, and you did one of my videos.
Yeah.
How do you find these videos? And then what made you kind of want to share our video, or the video that I did? Because if it wasn't for you doing that, not a lot of Moors would know that this area has Moors in it.
Right. Well, when we were coming up in this, the Moors imparted to us that, we have to keep our eyes open because of this new Moors with their eyes wide open or whatever. You know what I mean? And there's so many Moors that we deal with that we can't acknowledge everybody, because we deal with mad Moors. But any opportunity that we get to plug or push or advance some attention to Moors who I think are doing something, you know what I mean, we're gonna plug them, you know what I mean, and watching those early classes that you used to do with just two of you guys in there or whatever like that, brought me. Y'all came up. It reminded me. It threw me back to it threw me back to when even when we were in the black stuff, and we were doing we had this program called Rome, Re-Education of African Minds, and Rome was basically us getting a room, put at that time VHS, at that time was VHS machine or whatever, with a TV in there, and we just watch videos for hours. You know what I mean? And that's exactly how it started. Maybe like a year and a half. It was just me. Actually, it was me and the same brother, KTS. It was in his building, his party room in his building, that we used to do these little view the documentary type of program, Rome, Re-Education of African Minds, and it would just be me and him in there, and we'd just be in there chilling. You know what I mean? Watching whatever. Like we would have the full whatever there. You know what I mean? Put in one, and you know how it goes with the tapes. You could do the SLP, the LP, or whatever like that. So sometimes you might put on a tape and you got three-hour lectures on there. You know what I mean? Put that in, just us there, you know, for about a year and a half. Just us. I think it was Tuesdays too, you know, coming to think about it. I think it was Tuesday nights. 7 to 9 or something like that. 6 to 8 or something. And we would just be in there just watching stuff. And eventually, you know, word started getting out, and, you know, then we had a full room of people. You know what I mean? But again, at that time, it wasn't on the Moorish paradigm. We were just some brothers who were interested in our people knowing more about themselves, so we would just, you know, open the forum for people. So that's really what it was. You know, it threw me back to, damn, like, you know, it could still work like that. You know what I mean? There's still people out there who they're committed to the point of they're gonna sit there with themselves and do class for themselves, you know. And we always look at it. There was a lecture. There was a Taj Street Bay lecture, and there was a sister that wasn't getting it. Like, you know what I mean? No matter how, whatever he presented, he wasn't getting it. So he stopped and he told the sister, okay, come out of yourself and teach yourself. You know what I mean? You know? And we always looked at it like, yeah, that's what it is that we were doing. We were actually, you know, we were actually in the seat, but our higher self was outside of ourselves, teaching us while we sat there watching, you know what I mean, whatever it is that we were watching, because it was just the two of us or whatever. So it was just inspiring, you know what I mean, to know that, yeah, this is real. People are really gravitating to this information. So, you know, why not, you know, use our platform? Because, I mean, I still don't look at this, but Moors tell me this all the time, that, yo, if it wasn't for Canaanland Moors or whatever like that, you know, we probably wouldn't know about this in the way that we know about it. You know what I mean? Because, you know, it was just something about Canaanland Moors classes that wasn't the normal classes. It wasn't the too advanced, like you're watching some Taj or whatever, but it wasn't Moor Science Temple and we're disgusted with being Moors because these guys are doing church. And we just left the church and we don't want to go back to church again, especially as Moors. Why should we be in church and praying and all this type of stuff? So, yeah, it was really, you know, the inspirational thing, you know what I mean, with everybody, anybody whose stuff that we uploaded, you know, as far as, you know, Canaanland Moors Presents or whatever, it was just, you know, these people are doing what it is that we used to do or how we do it or whatever like that, so why not, you know, let them get some views off our rep, you know what I mean, because we already know that, you know, the lesson that, you know, new Moors are going to come with their eyes wide open. And if we were looked at as new Moors in 2008 when we came into this, then who are these new Moors 2012, 13, 15, 18, you know what I mean, 2020, you know what I mean, Moors coming in the future. Like, what kind of new Moors are they going to be? You know what I'm saying? You know, what does new imply after us? You know what I mean? And yourself, even with I was talking with a Moor yesterday about Brother Latif Bey. You know what I mean? European killing them harder than any Moor that's in some temple, killing them, giving them so much goods. Even the other European B God, you know, came out and he dropped the whole stuff. Yo, I'm 32nd degree or whatever like that. You guys need to honor Noble Drew Ali if you're black or whatever. What are you guys talking about? I got pictures of Noble Drew Ali. You know what I mean? As a European. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, you want to give a shout out to you too. You know what I mean? Thank you for staying on the course. You know what I mean? Even though it seemed daunting at times, just two people in the room or whatever. But, you know, nobody's getting this. Like, what are we doing here? You know what I mean? But, as you can see.
After class, you was sitting in her car for hours.
Like, yeah.
at night, just I would cry.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm serious. I was straight up crying.
Yeah, you know, because you're thinking that it's not, you know, still looking at it from the mundane perspective. You know what I mean? Like the sister saying, not recognizing that you sitting in that room or whatever, that's you and the ancestors, council of the elders meeting. You know what I mean? The meeting of the gods or whatever like that was happening.
Speaking of the sister,
was happening that time.
After one Saturday, we went out to eat. Lo and behold, she worked at the restaurant. I was all sad and shit. I'm like, where's all the Moors at? Where's all the people that care? Where are the people at in this area? Where are they? Right? I'm sitting there just, you know, my life sucks. Right? Then we're leaving the restaurant. She comes running out. Hey, y'all the Moors? I turn around like, yeah. She said, oh, there's a lot of Moors in this area. You know, what's your contact info? Blah blah blah. And now look at this room.
Yeah.
It was her. You know what I mean? She came running out.
Yeah. Yeah.
Quit. So it's yeah. A lot of this isn't me at all. Like,
right.
It's not me at all.
Yeah.
And I think people think that, but it almost has nothing to do with it.
Yeah.
It's the people.
Right. And again, that's, you know, that's what Juali did this for. You know what I mean? The reason why we have this impact, you know, is because the people need a change. Like everybody's tired of the same old BS. Everybody's tired marching, even though they might still go on the march. They're sick of goddamn marching. You know what I mean? They're sick of their people getting killed by these people and then nobody's getting indicted. You know? They might not know what to do, but they're sick of it. You know what I'm saying? You know, they're sick of IRS coming down on them and trying to take their little stuff that they got. You know what I mean? When it's not even that serious. You know what I'm saying? Because they got people that owe them way more than brother or whatever like that. They're not going after them. Them people actually getting passes. They get adjournments and come back in 20 years and we'll see you then and all that type of stuff. You know? So it's all part of where this thing is supposed to be, where it's going. But we know that the people are at that stage where, you know, they want to see change. The only problem is that you know, that so-called Willie Lynch curse, you know, has them in that place of, you know, not wanting to do it for themselves.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Yep. Like you know, they got sisters right now who know how to do those nails and all that stuff. They never open their own spot. They got sisters right now who know how to put in weave better than anybody. But they'll never be the producer of weaves.
Yep.
They're always going to somebody else to go get the stuff and then shortchanging themselves because, you know, you can't supply the demand if you don't have the supplies.
Yep.
You know what I mean? If you have to go to somebody else to get the supplies, you're done for. Because all they got to do is jack the price up on you and then now you can't supply anything. You know what I'm saying? Which these people know that's how it is. You know what I mean? They know that you know, our people are on you know, one hit wonder. They're not trying to put out every album go platinum. They want one album go platinum and then they're good for the rest of their whatever. No, you gotta be going platinum every album. You know what I mean? If you're gonna have any longevity. You know, if you're gonna make a name for yourself. So, you know, but it is what it is. It is what it is.
Any questions? You have a question? You want to come up? Hot seat?
Bring it all. Peace, sis.
I'm new. I just got here.
Oh, it's all good.
While we drive.
Right on time. Don't worry.
Okay. I just got my cell on Monday, so I'm trying to, like, what's the first step for me to, like, start to remove myself from that corporation, from the jurisdiction, like, using, like, my daughter's birth certificate to register for school and stuff like that, Social Security card. She was in school last year, Now they're asking for the same birth certificate and social security card again. So I have a card. I don't want to put her under a jurisdiction. I'm under 3 more. I got that myself. So how would I go about doing that? Start removing myself from the jurisdiction.
Well, remember that you're. We'll use this example. There's one of the Moors out here, Brother Amari L. Bay. He has 3 children in the school system, right?
Okay.
They're in the system under the straw names, but nothing happens in that school without them calling him, because he's the guardian. So his position was, if anything's going on that's relative to my children being put into any type of wardship, like Black History Month or sexual education, whatever like that, you need to call me so I can approve of any and everything that happens with them.
Okay.
Right? And again, they're in the system as straws. Okay. But they don't deal with them. They don't deal with them like Negro, Black, colored people. You know what I mean? Right? So don't necessarily, and then the other part of it too is being that you have Moors there, it's as simple as creating your birth record for your offspring, for your heirs, and using that to show that they are who you say that they are.
Okay.
Right, because like we spoke about earlier, our people's limited capacity of intelligence have put us behind, and because we've been so comfortable in this subordinate position, it's automatically expected for us to be subordinate to everything. Right? But once you have the information, it's bigger than a paper said something or a card saying something. It's really about you exercising what it is that you know. So we spoke about earlier about not doing things that you don't know. If you don't know if you haven't been studying right to travel for 3 years or something like that, you shouldn't be talking about take off plates and put on some new stuff and go out there doing stuff.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Because you're eventually going to bump into that individual who knows more than you, and now they got you. Because they know more than you. So they can pull you into jurisdiction without you even knowing that you're in the jurisdiction. You know what I mean? It's like one of the examples I more used was he went to court, and he was standing on, where's the delegation of authority order? You have to prove who you are, or whatever like that. And then the judge said something like, oh, I see that you're wearing a fez or whatever like that. Is that the fez of the Moors and whatever like that? And then the brother started talking about, whatever. Now he's in the jurisdiction. Because you're talking subject matter when you're supposed to be challenging the jurisdiction. You're supposed to be making sure everybody has their status on the record before we start talking about anything. You know what I mean? Another situation was a sister had a situation where she went to court, and the prosecutor and her were going back and forth. The judge got fed up. The judge was like, you know what? I'm going to ask you one question, and that would determine whether you come with us or you go home. Do you live in the city of whatever? He's like, city of whatever, that's corporation, not dismiss, go home. Right? No, looking at the papers that she sent or none of that. No, let me see your ID, let me know, nothing. The judge just got to the point where they were like, yo, you know what, this is going nowhere. You know what I mean? I'm hungry, I want to go on lunch or whatever like that, so we need to figure this out right now. And it was based on mindset. Where was that sister's mind at? Where was that brother's mind at? So Brother Amari's mindset was, if I'm the parent, if I'm the guardian, then you gotta do what I say. Because you're public servant. You're a principal or whatever like that. You don't really have clout like how you claim you got clout, especially if I know better. You know what I mean? So he wrote to the superintendent, and he CC'd the principal and CC'd all the different, ministries of education, whoever's. Nobody responded to him, but him dealing with them completely changed. You know what I mean? They started dealing with him to deal with his children, not dealing with his children, then deal with him. Like, how something's gonna happen, then they're gonna bring them to the office and then have a conversation and then call the parents later when they go. Like, they're calling him when the stuff happened.
Okay.
You know what I mean? They'll be in the principal's office waiting for dad to come to the school to deal with whatever it is that they're calling about. And again, it's a thing of there's other Moors who, same thing. Once you put your position down of how, once you show them that that they don't really have the jurisdiction that they have like that, then they start dealing with you differently.
Okay.
And it doesn't have to be that you sent some papers or you did whatever. It's really based on what energy are you approaching them with. You know what I mean? Like, they got for example, I think it was Brother Yusuf's son. He'll be telling the teacher what's up. You know what I mean? Because at home he's learning from his dad, who's a Moor. So he's going to school or whatever, they're on the school bus and they're talking about fiat and all that type of stuff and what is money and is this, is the United States a country and all this type of stuff. They're 8, 9, 10 or whatever. That's the discussions they're having, going home on the bus. Like, that's what their discussions are. Him and his little crew, you know what I mean? They're not talking about bikes and all that type of stuff. They're talking about law. They're talking about history. You know what I mean? They're talking about what happened in school today. How did we deal with that? What did you learn or whatever? Well, that's not really right and all that type of stuff. These are children. You know what I mean? So if they're taking that position of knowing, knowing the truth about their nationality and birthrights, and then they're applying it, and it's having an impact on their peers around them, that's really where we need to be at, really. It's not even really about us.
Right.
It's really about them being the ones to change this thing around. Because what are they going to tell a child who knows what's up? They're going to tell them that they're wrong or whatever? They're going to tell them you can't say that?
Yeah.
And I get where you're coming from with engaging them and the instruments and things like that. But I even see a lot of those things as detractors, things to get you away from that. Drew Ali said this is about going back to the mindset. Like the sis was saying earlier, if you know the Orishas and stuff like that, trust me, you can put certain people's name on certain candles or whatever like that, and they wouldn't bother your children anymore.
Okay. I have one more question. It's about the taxes.
Yeah.
Property tax and the taxes that take out your wages. What can I submit to my employer or to the city to
if you go to
or is that time I gotta wait 3 years to study or
if you go to RV Bay Publications, they have a book on there called Moorish more civic services or whatever like that.
Yeah, I have that book.
So that book right there gives the breakdown of all that.
Okay.
You know what I mean? And I would say, opposed to me telling you something, I would say check that reference point. And in that book they have the forms and they have all the different, you know what I mean, stuff that you can do. As far as the taxes thing. But then also remember that, you know, from the spiritual perspective, always remember that there's no money.
Right.
So they're not really taking anything. Just like you're not really getting paid, really.
Right.
You know what I mean? Which is where it comes into, you know, us doing for ourselves. Now we know what we're getting. Opposed to assuming we're getting something and then mad because, you know, well, we didn't get enough or whatever. They need to make the thing $15 an hour instead of $10 an hour. Well, whether it's $15 or $10, you're not getting nothing. Like they really just want your energy.
Yeah.
So it's all about us really trying to extract our energy and put it where it really is supposed to go, and not get caught up in, you know, they're taking something or no, it's really about energy. You know what I mean? You can also get on RV Bay and get the King Alfred plan and see what their perspective. King Alfred plan. Alfred plan, yeah. And then that I would have just referenced it, but I sent my copies to get printed. But in that they're talking about this aspect of energy and how, you know, that's really what it is that they want. What they're really after is to get your energy, and the finance is a ploy to get you to think it's about that.
Okay.
Right? So and then that goes with the same thing with, you know, like when you get that call from the principal, that affects your energy. Like they know exactly what it is that they're doing.
Right.
You know what I mean? Sometimes you might not even get a call from the principal. They send the child home with the letter or whatever. And then you're getting the, but then, you know, by the time child gets home with the letter, you don't have anybody to release that energy to. You're stuck holding it. You know what I mean? Because they know that, you know, if they would have called during the day and then they got to deal with it, now you're, you know, giving it to them.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Or taking it from them. You know?
Yeah.
And
also in that same book, it's my last question.
It's all good.
It says something about your putting your straw man name as a shelf company.
As a?
Putting your straw man name as a shelf company. Have somebody else do it. You can't do your own name. Just incorporate your name as a shelf company, your straw man name.
Right. So.
Would I have the book. Hold on.
All right. Because one of the issues with the whole straw man name with people coming into this information is never address any of those stuff as yours.
Right.
As my whatever, my this or my card, my whatever. That's not your property. That's their property. Okay. And you know, by taking possession of it, you also take the energies that come with it. So we might say, we might have a situation or whatever, and we talking about my license, and then you realize that all you're around is police all the time.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because you're calling them. By calling the thing yours, anything attached to that is gonna come too.
That's true.
Right? So you always refer to it as the instrument, or a instrument, or their instrument. So that way you can take that energy off of you.
Mm-hmm.
Right? But at the same time, now you're able to administer something, whether it's remedy or payback or whatever. It's not on you now. You know. So when they talk about doing anything with when they talk about doing anything with the quote unquote straw man, being that it's from a bankrupt, insolvent, dissolved corporation, it really doesn't have the power of being something. It's dissolved. It's been dissolved. It's been bankrupt. And again, the people's energy is what gives it life. Because remember, all these people that say, you know, they're part of some government, they're part of anything having to do with U.S. democracy or Canada democracy or any democracy anywhere in the world, know that they're occultists, and they know about witchcraft and black magic, white magic, and all that. So they know exactly what they're doing by putting certain things out the way that they put it out. You know, so you know, the first straw man is really the Negro black colored, right? The first birth certificate, the first license, the first anything of these instruments that these people are purporting as being a need of the people was really first a Negro, a black, or a colored.
Oh, wow.
Right? So if Noble Drew is saying, well, Moors, you're not Negro, black, colored, and then Moors are saying, well, my birth certificate and my license and then clearly they're still Negro, black, colored.
Right. Because you're claiming it.
Because you're claiming it.
Right.
And once you claim it, then that's not human trafficking. Once you claim it, that's not on them now.
Right.
Because you claimed it.
Agreed. Right.
And again, and ignorance of the law is no excuse. So if you claimed it under ignorance, now you're double responsible now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because really it should be, you know, like with what Noble Drew Ali was teaching, that, you know, the fact that these names were given to slaves by slaveholders, right? Which is why we shouldn't be dealing with them as being attached to us. It's the same thing when we look at the instrument. Those instruments came from slaveholders. Those instruments come from democracy. You know what I mean? They showed that in what movie was it again? What are these slave movies that they just came out with over the past 2 years or whatever? When they're about to lynch a brother, then the brother came out the bushes or whatever, and they're like, hey, where are you going over? He's like, oh, sorry, I got my little pass right here to say that slave master allowed me to leave the plantation or whatever like that. And then they're like, okay, fine, you can go about doing whatever it is that you're doing for your slave master. That was a license.
Oh, okay.
Like that was a driver's license. That was a social. That was a birth certificate. That was an instrument to let these slave people know that, you know, the ones who don't have these instruments are the ones that are the threat. The ones who have it, they get the pass because they're down with the program. But then when you look at, let me see if I find this thing. But then we look at certain people in the history of the culture, they don't even play that game with our people. One of the individuals was, oh yeah, here it is right here, right? Prominent so-called blacks who knew what was up and decided to not go with the slave program or whatever, right? Frederick Douglass began his life in bondage, right? So we could say he began his life with birth certificates and all the stuff, right? At 18, he was sent to Baltimore where he learned to caulk ships. He worked in the local shipyard, earning a wage that was not given to him but to his master. His first step to freedom was to borrow the identity papers of a freed slave. They never talk about that part of his history. They never talk about this individual who all these black people recognize or whatever. He had borrowed papers from a freed slave in order to get out of slavery. Right? He declared that he's not a slave, basically. You know, he took the position he took the position of, in order to be free, I better not be having any type of slave documents or whatever. I need the free people's documents. Right? It's the same thing with the Underground Railroad. You know, the Underground Railroad and Harriet Tubman and all that, their whole thing was, don't look like a slave on the Underground Railroad. That's how you get out of slavery. We're going to go in the bushes, we're going to put on a tie on you, put a shirt on you, get out of those torn up trousers or whatever, and we're going to walk out of slavery. We're going to walk off the plantation. And anywhere we go, as soon as they look at it, I guess those can't be slaves or whatever. You know? And then, you know, again, with the whole slave thing, why is it that our people are the ones that have so much interactions with these quote-unquote highwaymen?
Yeah.
Because the first highwaymen were the slave patrols who were hunting down runaway slaves. Right? They had the 5-point star and all that, claiming that they're slave patrol. You know? So, you know, if the thing is, if the vibe is you have children and, you know, you want to do what you can to save them and make sure they don't whatever, then teach them the stuff what you know. Don't worry about you sending some paper on their behalf. You just teach them what they know. Trust, we have it. There's enough Moors with children out there that know this information that they shut anybody down. Anybody. Just because their parents said, you know what, we're not going to just let you go to the European school and get brainwashed. But when you get home, we're going to detox you of all the BS that they just taught you today. And then we're going to put in the real stuff so that when you go back tomorrow, you could question them on all the BS that they taught you yesterday. And see what they say. You know what I mean? And again, and if it comes into that thing of, well, they don't like that, and don't worry, just tell them call home. Matter of fact, they should already have got the writ to know that if there's any issues, because there's going to be issues if your children are saying that they're Moors and they know about themselves or whatever like that, when they go into these institutions, they're going to have issues. Not with other students, they're going to have issues with teachers. How is it that a child is having an issue with a teacher about learning? It was like one of these Moorish children got detention because the teacher was talking about whiteboard. They're going to go on the whiteboard. You need to go to the whiteboard and go write something or whatever like that. And then the student is telling them that the board's black. Why are you calling the board white? No, it's not. The board is white or whatever like that. The student's telling them, don't you know that black is pale? Don't you know that white is a status and not a color of whatever? Had teacher shut down. Sent them to the office. Gets the call. Parent comes to the school or whatever Everybody's, you got in trouble or whatever like that. Then I go to the office, high fives all around. Good job. Good job. These are the incompetent people you have teaching my children, and you're talking about you guys at school or whatever. You know what I mean? And I think even the teacher got a transfer or something like that because they just couldn't, they just didn't want to deal with it. As far as the school. You know what I mean? Because you know, you're not gonna end their career. You know what I mean? Like it's not, you know, even when Morris talk about we're gonna this is something too I forgot to bring up. We're gonna go sue them because they violated us or whatever like that. These Europeans are gonna call diversity of citizenship. That's gonna be their defense. Oh well, how can you sue me? I'm a European. You don't have a right to sue me or whatever like that. We're diverse nationalities. Which is the same argument that Moors are making when they get sued by corporate state or whatever. You guys don't have jurisdiction over me. How you got jurisdiction over me? Bring me to court or whatever. Because majority of these Europeans, when you go check them, just like the Chinese and the Hindus and the whoever else, that's not really their name. Like we were talking with them more yesterday about, you know, if you see a Chinese guy named Ben, know that they know about nationality birthrights. They know about straw men and all that. There's no way that this Chinese guy's name is Ben. Ben Chin. That's not your name. But all his ID says Ben Chin on it though. But he knows that that's not his name. He knows that that's a corporate front for him to be over here to do whatever it is he has to do over here. But when the stuff gets down to the get down, he's taking the stuff, go back to where he came from.
Yeah.
Not staying here dealing with BS. They're just going to take whatever it is that they got and they're going to go about their business and go somewhere else. You know what I mean?
Okay,
right?
Thank you.
Yeah, but the main thing is making sure that those children get this information.
Yes.
Because they're gonna do way more with this information than we ever thought that we could do. Especially when you look at this millennial generation and online generation children and stuff like that, they're light years ahead of where we were. They got 2-year-olds using an iPad. Trust, they're light years ahead of where we were. It's just that their energy is diverted into where it shouldn't really be. Right? All right, sis.
All right, thank you.
No problem.
I'm stealing some papers right now, so if you got questions, just sit in the hot seat and ask.
Does anybody have a question? No? I don't think there's any more questions.
All right. Now two references I put out that more should look into. One of them is African American religions. African American religions, 1500 to 2000. African American religions, 1500 to 2000. Colonialism, Democracy, and Freedom, by Sylvester A. Johnson. The importance of Moors getting this book is because they have your prophet on the cover and they have the convention picture and all that. Now remember, this is talking about African American religions, but they made it a point to make sure that they put your prophet on the cover of their book, talking about African American religions, letting you know who the foundation of black religions in America is. Right? So make sure you get this one. Because they go in, they talk about Pool Bay and all of that in this. They don't hold back anybody. Everybody gets called out. And then the other one is Islam in the African American Experience by Richard Brent Turner. Islam in the African American Experience. And there's a great quote in this I like to should have done mark the page. Okay, so this is page 143. In 1961, I went back to Philadelphia. The largest group was Elijah Muhammad's group. The most militant Muslims were on the East Coast. We didn't give into negativism with them. We just remained aloof from them. Most of the people in the Ahmadiyya were all from the 1920s and 1930s. They were not involved in nationalism, loyal to America, but I was younger, involved in the Black Panthers and all that nationalism. We like to say that Elijah Muhammad was influenced by Mufti Muhammad Sadiq. There is a photograph that exists of Elijah Muhammad and Mufti Muhammad Sadiq sitting together on the stage with Noble Drew Ali and Marcus Garvey. For all the claimants that they didn't know each other. There's a picture that exists, and just go ask the NOI or whatever, they probably got it, with a picture of Elijah Muhammad and Mufti Muhammad Sadiq with Noble Drew Ali and Marcus Garvey on the stage. Now when we go to Marcus Garvey, Philosophies and Opinions of Marcus Garvey, we have him putting it out there about the importance of nationality to the Negroes. If you devote as much time studying Marcus Garvey than the amount of time attempting to persuade me that you do, you would be aware of this fact. Page 268. Because the Negro is not happy and will never be until he is restored to his own nationality. And my ability to continue my work on this behalf will bless the nation, for as Thomas Paine said, no man can be happy surrounded by those whose happiness he has destroyed. Now this was written to the Garveyites after Marcus Garvey got kidnapped and they were about to deport him. And he wrote this letter to all the Garveyites so that they know how the Negro could be happy and what it would take for the Negro to be happy, and that would be for him and her to be restored to their own nationality, not somebody else's nationality, to their own. Now, we know that him speaking like this is due to the teachings of Noble Drew Ali. And in the newspaper, the Chicago Defender, Brother Robert Abbott had an article in there dealing with Noble Drew Ali returns after a long visit south. Noble Drew Ali, prophet, founder, and head of the Moorish National Divine Movement, has returned to the city after an extended visit in the south. Prophet Ali motored from Chicago to Atlanta, Georgia, where he spent a few hours visiting Marcus Garvey in the federal prison. Mr. Garvey was very much pleased with the splendid uplifting work being done by the Moorish Divine Movement. The organization has launched a drive for more members. Persons desirous of learning of the great work that is being done are asked to write to Prophet Ali, 3603 Indiana Avenue, Chicago, Illinois, etc. And then notice that, the honors that Brother Abbott had for Noble Drew Ali, that he had the Noble Drew Ali mustache. And then he had his little his fedora fez. Because everybody was down with what this man was doing. Everybody was game. Everybody was on board. It wasn't until 1930 that stuff started going nuts. And you can also look into an article called The Sheiks of Sedition. The Sheiks of Sedition. Father Prophet Muhammad Bey, Mother Jesus Rosie Bey, and Kansas City's Moors. The Sheiks of Sedition, Father Prophet Muhammad Bey, Mother Jesus Rosie Bey, and the Kansas City Moors. Another connection that we want to make is stressing the importance of even Nation of Islam knowing for real what's up. Because there's a lot of diverting attention from the ones who knew. Now this is from an actual letter that was written from the Nation of Islam to the Baltimore Moorish Science Temple of America that deals with the naturalization and Moors being naturalized or Moors being made foreigners in their own land. So this is an excerpt from the letter. They consulted with me in a private meeting and indicated that they had come into concern for your well-being and your safety in your return trip to the USA. Now this was when Minister Farrakhan went to visit Gaddafi or whatever like that, and he was talking all this BS about, you know, he's a nation and they can't tell him where he could go and he could go where he wants and all this type of stuff. Right? He could see whoever he wants to see because he's the Asiatic black man and all this BS. And they were trying to say, we're not letting you back in the country. Right? They gave me a briefing. They gave me a briefing on their views and literature. The presiding Moorish sheiks gave us an excellent presentation on their teachings and their views on your situation. As examples, Jesse Jackson and Muhammad Ali. So, the whole Jesse Jackson and Muhammad Ali, remember Jesse Jackson was the individual who took over the powers after Martin Luther King got assassinated. And he coined that our people are African American. And then everybody ran with that. But then on the second hand, you had Muhammad Ali, who was Cassius Clay, and then he was able to avoid the draft because he had a free national name of Ali. And when you go back and you watch the campaign that he had against going into the draft, he kept on stressing the point that the people over there are his brothers and sisters. That no brown individual violated him, like how this European violated him. So why is he going to go over there and fight them when he's got enemy right here that he could fight? Bottom line, there was a need for you to be naturalized as a Moorish American to escape the legal jurisdiction of the U.S. government actions against you. Now look at the contradiction that they know in speaking to him. These are the Moorish sheiks. They know in speaking to Farrakhan that his return trip was to the United States of America. But the jurisdiction that he was getting out of was the U.S. government, which is two separate jurisdictions. Now, if they know that much, just like we put out in the video on our channel yesterday with Dame Dash interview, and he's calling the president a CEO. If he knows that the president's a CEO, then he knows that U.S. is a corporation, which is why he's pushing his whole concept of be independent. Much detailed information, quite well documented, was presented and papers for the naturalization process. I met with the Moorish sheiks accompanied by your legal counsel, Sister Eva Muhammad, who wanted to evaluate the legal merit of the Moorish position. Under the new crescent moon and star in the western sky, still red with the sunset, I felt the spirits of Noble Jew Ali and the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. I feel something very, very special has occurred in the reunification of the Moorish Science Temple and the marriage with our allies. Now, what do they know? And if they know that much to go have meetings or whatever like that with the temple in Baltimore, how come they're not telling people that they're Moors? How come all they could do is show pictures of Noble Jew Ali? How come all they could do is talk about, Moors from some third party perspective, but not let the people know for real, that, you know what? We've been lying to you. Since the 1930s, we've been lying to you. This is really not a nation of Islam. This is really a temple of Islam, because we came under the Moorish Science Temple. That's why our stuff was called Temple of Islam before it was called Nation of Islam. That's why all the fruits of Islam, or the FOI, used to wear fezzes. That's why in the early literature of the Nation of Islam, you had people calling Fard Muhammad Prophet Fard. He wasn't Allah in person in the beginning. He was Prophet Fard first, because they had to reel in all the people that they were going to steal from the Moorish movement that were in Detroit. And they know how many people honored and respected and appreciated the teachings of Noble Jew Ali. So they knew exactly where this thing could have gone. But again, people had their motives. People had their payouts in order for them to be in this position right now where they're at, where they run stuff right now. They're in the position right now where they can go get, Washington Mall so that they can go march and picket. But they're going and marching and picketing to the same people who use those same Washington whatever as auction block to sell Negroes. And that's where they're deciding to go for their bring all the Negroes together and get them on this auction block and talk about justice or else, and no or else happened yet. Years later, still no or else yet. Right? Know that these people have been and continue to play with our people, which is why it's important for Moors to step their stuff up. Because we got about 100 years of catching up to do just on the level of getting this information out to our people. Forget processes and proclaiming stuff. Just letting them know what's up. And again, we have all these examples. Yassine Bey told these people, don't call me most deaf ever again. I'll slap all of you if you call me most deaf. Like, I am Yassine Bey. Right? Yassine Bey called out his sister, and they did a show together. Erykah Badu calling herself Badu the L. See, they don't know what's up. You know what I mean? But then when Moors talk, oh, everybody got a problem, you know what I mean? And again, we're going to bring it up again that, Nas came out, put out all this stuff, called himself for more on the album or whatever like that. These people aren't even talking about his album right now. Like, how are people not talking about Nas dropped a new album? How? Like, how is hip-hop people not talking about this? Why are they not talking about it? That something must be going on why they're not talking about it. They talk about everybody else. All these Percocet, whoever, rapper, whatever, is getting airplay every day, all day. Now start telling these people that they're Moors. Got the clothing line and all that stuff to show that it's real, but nobody's hearing what he's saying. He's getting blackballed right now. And he's supposed to be one of the top 5 MCs or whatever. And he's getting blackballed? Then this must be real. Go ahead, sis.
We're running out of time here.
All right.
With the place that we have.
Yeah.
And also our internet connection is starting to lag.
Yeah.
There was a couple of questions online about business. You already spoke on that, and I would say to anyone that wants to open a Moorish business, study business.
Yeah.
And someone asked about Iron Sheik 7.
Yeah. Well, for as far as the business part of it, also remember the UN Declarations of Indigenous Rights. That as indigenous people, everything that we do is our culture, not business. So start a Moorish business out your mind and exercise our culture. So if our culture is holistic health, then anything in that arena is our culture. I don't care if you're selling stuff, giving it away, or whatever. That's our culture that we're exercising. And as far as Iron Sheik 7, it's in the works still. Album's done. We're just getting the graphics and stuff taken care of and all that. But like we said, the individuals who are in attendance are getting the first listen off the album. Brother Jamal's is gonna send the emails out to me, and we'll get all the individuals who are there. They could have their own listening party for the Iron Sheik 7. And you've heard a few. We put out a few of the songs already, but there's a little bit more. There's a little bit more on there. And also to willofalah.com. If you haven't familiarized yourself with anything Iron Sheik, you can go get Iron Sheik 1 to 6 plus mix CDs and other stuff on there. willofalah.com. And for any books, I know Brother Jamal's has some there. Or you can go to khalifamedia.com to get any of my books that are out there. I have 6 books out there. You Are Not Negro Black Colored, Who Stole the Fez, Moors or Shriners, Welcome to Canada, Noble Juali Plenipotentiaries, Watch My Prophecies, and the #1 seller with myself and Brother Rami Salam El, 77 Amazing Facts About the Moors, in honor of J.A. Rogers' book, Facts About the Negro.
So I brought his books in the trunk. They said we couldn't sell things in the library. So do you want to give them the price of your book so they know I'm not robbing them?
We'll say it like this. Online, the books are 15 online. Usually, once we do the in propria persona, it'll be 10 or something like that. So 10 a book or whatever in person, and online I believe is 15 a book.
Alright, so I'm not robbing them.
Yeah,
I was 50 notes for one of your books.
Yeah.
Because the grand sheet because Canaanland chose me.
Yeah.
Oh, wait. Yeah. Alright, well, we run out of library time. We booked a certain time, then all of a sudden this is...
All of a sudden. Yeah.
So we all like to thank you. Let me turn the lights on.
Well, you see everybody?
Yeah. More people came in
Islam.
as we were doing it, so we got a full house here today.
Yeah.
Let me kind of take on a little flash tour around live.
And again, for everybody,
See you.
everybody's there. Just make sure you get yourself get yourself on the list, because we're working on something, and Brother Jamal will keep you posted with that. But you know, as far as moving forward, you know, that whole promo stuff and flyers and let people know what's going on, it's elite and pristine attendance only now. So don't be looking for too much stuff outside of Canaanland. That's gonna be promoted. It's gonna be, you know, invite only type of vibe.
Yeah.
Right. Anything else in closing?
Well, no, I just would like everyone to give the Grand Sheik a round of applause.
Islam. Islam, Moors. Peace and love to all the Moors. Again, thank you, Moor. Rise of the Moors and all the Moors there. All the Moors that showed up. Definitely appreciate the energy and the time. And we'll definitely make up for this one with the Iron Sheik 7 and some other stuff that's going on in the future. So once Brother Jamal sends me the emails, the stuff's going out. All right. So look for that, you know, in your email. Actually, it's gonna come from either wetransfer.com or wesendit.com, just because the files in a big folder. So yeah. All right. So when you see the we send it or we transfer, it's not a virus or whatever. That's actually the stuff. So don't delete that one.
All right. Well, we appreciate you.
Appreciate you more.
Love you. Thank you for reaching out and putting us on.
Love y'all too. Thank you very much. Peace and love and Islam to all Moors. Islam.
Peace. You hang up first. No, you hang up first.
My finger's on the button. Should I hang up?
No, I'll hang up. No, you hang up.
Peace, Moors. Islam.
Peace.
The rhyme making no sense to make dollars and holler. On our grounds, rounds leave Moors dead in parlors. So-called blacks call them cracker, then get called Canadian, and shun Moors that say they're not Canadian. This world is full of crazy men with no knowledge of self, but got the most expensive cars and flat screens on the wall shelf. Going all the way to try to help you change, but you won't. And I hardly hear your opinion of Marcus Garvey, but Steve Harvey stands out, true coon and jester, making a fool of you and himself for wealth. To me, those sellouts need to get bodied or exiled to Dr. Moreau's island with Gentiles and reptiles. Fake slave ships stacking bodies in piles, giving fake Jews slave respect, not giving me smiles. Calling children kids, chasing after Taji guys. Supremacy, use albino and half-breed spies. We catch trespassers with razors and mesh. Pedophile, torture, scotch bonnet in open flesh. Traitors get the shitty end of the stick. Our leaders murderers should have been crushed with pyramid bricks. Huey Newton and Hampton killers should be in front of a squad shooting by any means necessary. Get out the beast belly. Why y'all get mad glory and your flow's mad corny? Your skin tight jeans put you in F category. Most rappers' names on lists for rhyme pad or Lori, making me yell comments mad derogatory. Why y'all get mad glory and your flow's mad corny? Your skin tight jeans put you in F category. Most rappers' names on lists for rhyme pad or Lori, making me yell comments mad derogatory. It's all about balance, my art the beam. Sellouts made it mainstream, underground is almost unseen. Gay A&R signing rappers contracts in blood. Took his soul, body didn't fall with a thud. He's a zombie, dyed hair, dress wearing thug. Burn that garbage, too much to sweep under the rug. Police can't collar a crime without snitches. You're lucky to escape the custody, not dead with just stitches. Make you hit your hair and take Hindus to Ganesha possess ya, and raising your blood pressure. Anything to do with Moors, they don't want you near. Don't search where it's black, you won't find it there. No matter how much you beg, they won't tell you where. No matter how much you don't have, they won't tell you here. Negroes weren't the first slaves, no rep reparations first. While you wait for your reparations, it looks like a hearse. They won't pay you reparations anyway, only if you agree to make yourself black and gay. Instead of towards Moors, they want you to stray. Won't find your mind when it's in disarray. Thinking being European is the only way. Hurling insults at your creator, she will get you later. Why y'all get mad glory and your flow's mad corny? Your skin tight jeans put you in F category. Most rappers' names on lists for rhyme pad or lorry, making me yell comments mad derogatory. Why y'all get mad glory and your flow's mad corny? Your skin tight jeans put you in F's category. Most rappers' names on lists for rhyme pad or lorry, making me yell comments mad derogatory. What's the reason for the treason is the question and the lesson. I hear most professing, but really possessing. Taking minds messing with thought patterns and pathways. Nero wanna be a hero when they really cipher, not Neo, not Morpheus or Gillen finding Nemo. Selling out with no remorse, you and yours, calling you black, showing you who's the boss. Always marching but never thought sue the police force or do like Haitians. Add some voodoo, of course, you might hurt them unexpected. It could be bloody, feel yourselves curl and your hair stand from walking duppies. Looked, all of a sudden judge yelled and wept. In court judge with cold sweats and throat strap. He can't talk yet cause the candle was lit before I left. Forget Africa, hip-hop was the grand theft. Why y'all get mad glory and your flow's mad corny? Your skin tight jeans put you in F category. Most rappers' names on lists for rhyme pad or lorry, making me yell comments mad derogatory. Why y'all get mad glory and your flow's mad corny? Your skin tight jeans put you in F's category. Most rappers' names on lists for rhyme pad or lorry, making me yell comments mad derogatory.